Futures trying to get back to the upside here to kick things off this morning after starting slightly lower. Pretty impressive day yesterday. Comes to an end basically at session highs. A little bit of a dip right now, but a fraction of a percent for the S&P, the Nasdaq, and the Dow, which, oh, by the way, was above 49,000 for the first time ever yesterday as of the close, ahead of the first of a couple important, potentially anyways, important employment prints coming up this morning. We'll get ADP private payrolls at 8:15. We'll bring that to you live in about 15 minutes here. And then the JOLTS number comes up at 10 o'clock this morning ahead of non-farm payrolls to end off the week, 8:30 on Friday. We'll bring that to you live as well. Remember, 8 o'clock start now, so make sure you're with us for all of these economic numbers. Lots of individual movers to talk about this morning. The memory space absolutely on fire, continued yesterday with both Micron and SNDK. Huge moves, 28% for SanDisk by the end of the session yesterday. Mobileye with news as well, up 12% on an acquisition this morning. So a lot of different angles to touch on. We'll keep an eye on the energy storyline as well that continues after what happened on the weekend, obviously, in Venezuela. Rahim Alani coming up this morning. He's going to give us the Canadian take, or maybe a few names to watch on the Canadian side of things. Adara with me once again. Good morning.
Good morning, Brendan. Yeah, I think there's certainly a lot to discuss. This is SanDisk's chart. I just kind of kept this up here because I think that was one of the craziest movers of yesterday for sure. Some analysts weighing in, B of A positively, but a little bit more cautious note here from Jefferies. Micron, though, also getting a price target increase. So this space here in this HBM play absolutely still on watch. And speaking of this kind of chip type space, CES 2026 is very much still happening, guys. At 12 p.m., we are going to be getting a keynote speech from Caterpillar. Then there's a panel later after the bell today around 5 p.m. with the likes of, I believe, Adobe. We're going to have Qualcomm there, HPQ, so it should be a pretty exciting event. The oil space, though, also still going to be interesting, with Trump saying they're going to be basically making Venezuela send 30 to 50 million barrels of oil over to the U.S. And there's actually a press briefing here with White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt at 11 a.m. Yeah. She's going to have some cabinet meetings there, or sorry, cabinet members there as well. So that could be interesting, maybe shed some light in oil.
The timeline of that still remains a giant question mark on when they could possibly get that going. But Trump's set to meet with the oil executives coming up here over the next couple of weeks. He said he's also going to meet with the insurance business over the next couple of days here as well. We'll touch on that coming up. But I just went out to a daily chart. I mean, you showed the move yesterday, but that's what it looks like on a daily chart for SanDisk. Absolute monster. If you go just back to, what was this, August, this thing was $50. It's $350 now. Just absolutely insane. Wow. Very, very quiet on that front as well. We touched briefly yesterday on the AI angle for Caterpillar. You mentioned coming up today, they're going to present at CES. So I think it's going to get to a point where maybe not so much on the construction site side of things, but I think for the farming industry, there's so many applications that they can apply AI technology to for that company. So something to watch out for anyways for Caterpillar. Also a chart that looks amazing at this point. So remember, 8:15 we get private payrolls this morning. 8:30 there's nothing really until 10 o'clock. 8:30 we'll touch in with Rahim Alani on this Venezuela story. Guys, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. And it's a good morning for MSTR, believe it or not, too. Up 6 points. You would have, if you saw aftermarket, they're not getting the boot. Well, MSCI for now is saying treasury names, they were at risk of getting booted from the indexes, MSTR being the most famous one. I'm still not a huge fan of them, but a huge rally. And you would have seen there was actually a spike in Bitcoin, which got given back pretty much almost the entirety of the thing. But MicroStrategy looking pretty good this morning. This had been weighing on the stock for quite some time. So yeah, this is going to be potentially in play. My goodness, that SNDK chart, Micron's chart, Western Digital, just absolute rocket ships. And speaking of rocket ships, coming back down to earth a little bit are two names that were crazy yesterday: ASTS and Rocket Labs. Downgrade on ASTS here, and it kind of double topped around the $100 level. So yeah, some of the things that were big in play yesterday are right back in fold, and we'll see what happens with MSTR. Again, I can't say I'm a fan, but that was a pretty big thing hanging over the stock, and it was a pretty good announcement for them. We'll see. I'm kind of curious as to whether that saga is done, because ultimately, I don't know what your feel is on this, Sean, but like if you have an index, like these indexes typically tend to have some rules as to what you are and why you should be in them. And I kind of wonder, like, if the only thing you do is hold an asset, it still doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If that's all you are, you literally are just holding an asset. I mean, why not let SPACs in at that point that haven't made a deal? Like, you start blurring the lines, and it's like you could open a can of worms. But anyways, they got the reprieve, so that's all that matters.
The index provider said further research is needed to distinguish investment-oriented crypto holdings from operational uses before making any changes. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. Like, I don't mind. I mean, most of these things, they're almost caught you. Most of these things will be. See, if it was Ramin, she would have caught you a little bit more. Andre gets those bacon and omelet today. No, I was gonna say, like, you know, most of these indexes can choose obviously whatever they want to do. I mean, and I don't think there's really a problem holding strategy in an index. To answer your question, I think it's you know, they've explained what their holdings are, what they do, and it's you know, I'm trying to think of an example of another company that is very, very like singularly focused.
I can't think of one.
I'm trying to, because, you know, holding on to something and basically pumping it is kind of a business. I mean, I would like to understand, I mean, now that I read this note, it is true. What else are they doing that classifies them as a company rather than a holding company?
I don't know the answer. That's the thing. I don't know the answer to that. So that's
because, like, you can't include IBIT in an index or anything. IBIT's an ETF.
Yeah.
I was just trying to look at the list here. Like, even Netflix is diversified into gaming and everything like that, and studios and streaming. And yeah, I don't know, it is interesting. And that's another thing that I guess exposes the risk of MicroStrategy or of strategy, right? Is the fact that they can have some negative, you know, headwinds, I guess, that can affect them other than the price of BTC, which right now, what the hell's going on? Bitcoin just broke 92,000 again right there. I actually have IBIT written down here on to trade today for a short. But no, Alfonso says, well, they're basically like banks. No, not really. A bank does a lot of business and has a lot of different arms and wings and employs, you know, millions of people. But yeah, it'd be interesting. It's an interesting look. But I think it just shows more risk to MSTR, because not only do you have Bitcoin risk, but now you have index risk, and, you know, possibly if you get dropped from indexes, that's a huge problem, because there's so many ETFs out there that have to own you, you know, because you're in an index and they're kind of forced to take a position. So yeah, it's actually an interesting thought about them today, but up 4%, and that you can see why. Right, I mean, here you go. As it's called up here, I haven't even looked at it today, other than looking at the note.
It was up more afterwards.
Yeah, we had it up 4%, but still, that's still nicely cooking there. So you can see Bitcoin is going to be down today, but MSTR up. I didn't even know that was an issue that they were dealing with right there. I would actually short this. I mean, I think it's nice to see that that's gotten resolved, but, you know, at the end of the day, we just talked about we don't really know what their business is. So if you're going to watch Bitcoin movement, that would make sense here while we start to come back down in. So maybe I put MSTR as a short today. Without understanding the story, I mean, I understand the story, but being able to wrap my head around what exactly MSCI is going to do. Because they're probably are they in IWM? I mean, what is their market cap? I'm not even sure what other indexes these guys are in. S&P 400? I'm not sure.
I think my understanding is that they were
Didn't they get added
to the
S&P 500?
popular to be added last year to the S&P, and then it just, you know, you never really. It's one of those things, like everyone seemed to want them to be the one, but I know they're in a couple of MSCI indexes. MSCI has like tons of indexes, so like it's one of those, like, if one domino falls, will a bunch of others. I have if we go back to the desk in a second, I got to use this pun, because Obi literally messaged me. He goes, "The bid is really sticky on glue," which is in play today. So that was Obi's pun, not mine.
Buyout, I guess.
No, it's not. It's Monte Rosa Therapeutics. They got interim data from an ongoing phase 1 trial of yada, 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 reductions in cardiovascular and cardiometabolic diseases. So it's obviously, I can't tell you, I don't know what is the float. The thing is, I don't always trust the short float from this source, but it does say 14%. So it's probably right. Sometimes lately we've been wanting to confirm short floats with a second source, but glue with a 14% short float, and then again there's some positive data for them on it's phase one, an ongoing phase one trial for glue. Although the bid being sticky, I don't know, is that, I can't even, like, it's obviously a pun for glue, but I can't figure out, like, is that how does that make it strong, it being sticky, the bid? Because don't you want it bouncing off of the bid? Like, you want the bid to be like rubbery, like it's bouncing off of support. Sticky would mean that it's kind of hanging out in one spot.
Yeah, I can't believe we're analyzing what Obi said there about that.
I'm just like, wait a minute, that doesn't even make sense, that pun.
Maybe you're saying it's sticky to like its upside, so the bid has more hold to it. I don't know. I like Gorilla Glue. That's popular in our house. Lots of things getting glued. I have SoFi written down as a short again. I have IBIT written down as a short. I have Google and I have Google written down as a long. I like some of the TPU stories there. It's going to be interesting because we're going to have Raheem coming through, and today's the first day where, not the first day, but it's a pullback day for silver and gold and copper and all these names today, down another 5%. I say another 5%. It was just at all-time highs. But when I mean another, every time silver is going down, it goes down violently. Like you don't have little up moves or down moves in the last week and a half, right? I mean, most of these trades have been, 4, 5, 6% kind of days. And it looks like, again, off of a 5 or 6% day yesterday, silver is giving it all back here today. And looks like it wants to close that gap completely. And then we'll look to see what happens around the $67, $68 mark right now for SLV. And we just took a dip down of about $1 or so right there right now on silver. So as Bitcoin's trying to break down from 92,000, silver also down 4.5%, gold down today as well here, 407 and change. So Brendan, I'm going to guess that, and you sort of teased it earlier, Raheem's coming with some information on energy plays, I believe, and metal plays. So is there a focus, Brendan? Is he more energy today, or more metals, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, I teased it, I guess, a little bit yesterday in that we've seen over the past couple of days the Canadian energy sector get sold off on this Venezuelan headline. So he's going to touch a little bit on that storyline and why that matters to the Canadian energy sector primarily. And then we're going to tease mining, because there is a little bit of a mining tie-in to this from the Venezuelan aspect as well. So will it spill over into the mining industry or not remains to be seen. But a couple of the things to consider here so far this morning. There was a ton of notes I saw on banks specifically. JP Morgan, going back to the end of last week, I guess it was, had a big day. Yesterday, not so much. I mean, it was positive, but lower volatility. Oh, by the way, it's earnings season next week. So we get earnings from the banks starting Tuesday. JP Morgan's going to be the first out of the gate. Tuesday, I think it's pre-market, I believe. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the banks. We have to then wait another 2 weeks to get into some of the tech names. And then I think it's Netflix in the 20s, January 20s week that will kick things off, and then Tesla the following week. But here we are, right back to earnings season.
We actually have a kind of interesting earnings report tonight from APLD. This is one that I know Joe has mentioned on the midday. APLD reporting after the bell. They actually got a positive analyst note this morning as well, and you can find more about that on our Trader TV Live watch list. But yeah, Brendan, usually how this goes is we get the banks, then we get like our UNH type plays that are interesting, but certainly not big tech. And then right when you least expect it, we get Netflix, which really kicks off the big tech run. So it'll be interesting to see here what we get from these earnings. A lot of these, the earnings from last quarter were generally positive or well received after the fact, but the market didn't like them on day one. So that was last quarter's trend. Let's see what the Q4 2025 season has to bring us.
Speaking of Netflix as well, this WBD saga, I guess, hopefully this is the end of it. I don't know. We'll see if Paramount comes back one more time. But if you missed it, Warner Brothers officially has rejected Paramount again in favor of Netflix. Again, neither really doing anything here this morning. I think this was expected, even though the Paramount bid was higher, more monetarily higher, but they seem to continue to favor this Netflix deal.
Yeah, I wasn't shocked. Like I said this a couple of times too. Warner Brothers, at least from the reports I've read, their biggest issue with the Paramount bid is that they don't feel like it adequately values their cable segment, right? So if that's not going to change, they have really no reason for it to change. And it's funny too, because we actually had the chair of the board here at Warner Brothers, Samuel DiPiazza. He did a CNBC interview after this was announced, and he basically said in no uncertain terms, like, we're not in dialogue with Paramount, and if they want a deal, they're going to have to bring something very compelling to the table. So basically implying, hey, PSKY, you're not going to be getting this deal. So we'll have to see how this shapes up further. We know PSKY with the Larry Ellison connection and the connection to the Trump admin, they might have some regulatory pull. As of right now, they haven't flexed it, which is interesting.
The interesting part of the Netflix side of things, meanwhile, to me anyways, is the duality of the properties that they have already. Warner Brothers, obviously known as a studio more than anything. Netflix going after the IP, the actual licensing more than anything. But there's going to be maybe even some job losses, I would guess anyways, because there's going to be duplicates of a lot of different areas of the industry. Warner Brothers has a studio, Netflix has a studio. Why do they need another one? Obviously, that's not what is attractive for them.
Like, I mean, maybe the one thing you could argue too is that it actually like expands their reach, right? So the job losses, that could still be happening, but the fact that they might have more places to work and especially more IP to work with, like we've talked a lot about how massive just the HBO IP alone is. You've got Game of Thrones, you have Euphoria, you have White Lotus, you have a lot of these shows that are iconic that are still happening or they have spin-offs happening. So Netflix has a lot of power to get these stories out to the mainstream, and I think honestly if they can succeed, then maybe we can get even some more jobs coming from that. But you're right, I think in that a lot of these traditional jobs will probably go to the wayside, unfortunately.
We just got this ADP number, bit of a nothing burger. It looks like US ADP December private employment up to 41,000. The estimate was 50. Market not doing anything whatsoever. So again, ADP private payrolls 41,000. The estimate was 50. Prior month, if you remember, was negative 29,000. The estimate the prior month was negative 35,000. So that one came in a little bit better, even though it was negative. But at least we're back to positive here. Again, 41,000 versus 50 guys on ADP.
Yeah, nothing too crazy there, and probably not. It doesn't seem like it's
a little lesser than non-farm payroll. Okay.
And we'll get JOLTS as well today, but I don't know. I kind of feel like we still might be more on the headline related. Like things are moving a heck of a lot more on random headlines. You saw during CES, like Marvell and Tesla both had massive moves in the afternoon as well. But if we just jump back to Netflix quickly, it's getting a little bit out of hand. I mean, come on. I think at some point, like, you can't chalk this up to the uncertainty around the deal. At this point, there's zero indication that they're going to have to raise. I like what they're going to be adding here, and it's coming right. We're very close. You're like one good break and then 2 days away from coming into this like 83 double bottom on the weekly chart here for Netflix. So this is one that I want to be buying again for sure on this news. And you also have to consider like Netflix. Like Netflix isn't. Look, it's never been cheap. I think they're still above 30 in terms of like a PE. But when you start dropping like this, it gets a little bit more in favor. And sometimes when you have a big rally on what seems like an expensive stock, even if it's like the winner and the best in group, that kind of a deal, sometimes you have to get that bit of a reset. And it's when it's not as popular, when it's not looking as good relative, where you gotta jump in at times. That's just how it is. Like, remember how like Apple for a while was kind of languishing relative to some other tech names, and then all of a sudden they got a good bounce, and then Google did something similar to it. I feel like Netflix is starting to get a little bit better value. I do have a bid sitting in front of 83 because this is one I want to add to. I'm a believer. I love what they're adding. The HBO, Harry Potter, they got a lot. DC universe. We'll see how that works out. The new Supergirl is getting some.
I don't know.
Not that great reactions. Whatever.
Which movie? Which one?
Because the new Supergirl, which is DC.
There's a Supergirl?
Well, because they teased it at the end of the Superman movie, which wasn't bad. I actually thought it was.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was whatever.
Okay.
It was okay.
All right.
Okay. Well, somebody disagrees with me. I don't know who hit that key, but I thought it was not that bad. I prefer the Henry Cavill ones, but it was still.
Joey Comics over there hit it. Yeah, so I put more money, hopefully where my mouth is here with Netflix yesterday. I mean, I bought 90. I literally got filled $90. And I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but I was just sitting there. It's like $90.15 or something like that. It was yesterday, I guess. Yeah, because that's when it came back in. Yeah, so we just got filled yesterday down there at $90. It's only $91. I don't want to, act like this is a big win or anything like that. But we also bought some 96s as well. So average price in and around 93 right now. This little dump off here at Netflix is too much. Let's just get back to, like Adair and Brendan mentioned there, it's earnings season coming up now. So Netflix actually had a good quarter, and then all of a sudden they got really interested in Warner Brothers. And Warner Brothers, the problem with Warner Brothers was it was a $7 stock. So the fact that they're going to go out and now, close this deal around $30 with everything included is expensive. This is what's been happening with Warner Brothers. In September, like I was saying, I mean, it was even, I said $7, that might have been the very bottom, $8 or so there, and then now going out at 30. So yeah, I mean, it's going to take a minute for Netflix and their shareholders to realize, the profits and realize how this sort of accrues into their balance sheet and income statement and all that kind of stuff. Because as Adair mentioned, they have to worry about the cable companies. They're not taking that over. It's the properties and it's the, like you had mentioned there, the catalog, from a Harry Potter over to Sopranos into whatever, Warner Brothers Discovery. So there's a lot happening there. For me, I think it gets to be a little bit too much. I mean, everybody has a whole bunch of streaming services probably hooked up right now. And it's just, I like Netflix because I think it's user friendly. It's pretty easy. I think they probably have a good algorithm. So once they get all these properties and all this content into their catalog, I'm pretty sure they'll be able to push it to you, no problem. But at the same time, it could be a little bit of overkill. So I do see where we are getting a little nervous. But hey, look, man, more mergers, more acquisitions. This is what this Trump organization has really tried to push forward, and we're getting more buyouts every day. We're getting more talk. We had one yesterday with Eli Lilly.
Yep.
And I think that's Netflix has probably been waiting for this for a while. I don't think anyone's going to step in the way. It'll close in a couple, I think it was end of 26 or so,
it'll take a while just because of how big it is.
Yeah, so there's some things to happen right now. But hey, yesterday we said it was 8:20. It's time for upgrades and downgrades. So with 8:22 right now, Joe gave us a hard time or whatever yesterday for going 2 minutes over or whatever it was. This man is on a clock right here, and we do not want to be late to get Joe involved. So let's go over here. And you have one downgrade that's gotten me upset over here, Joe. So let's go figure what that is.
I'm sure we'll be able to fix that up a little bit here, Katina, man, considering we have BBAI on some of the call activity. Welcome, everybody, and happy hump day. All right, let's get into things. Some big-time movement in the options world yesterday. We're going to start things off with some Micron. That's correct, guys. At that $350 level, we're putting in substantial volume here with 21,600 contracts open and closed on the intraday session. Now for the open interest, relatively cool. We're sitting around 3.93 thousand, which isn't a substantial amount, but I mean, relatively speaking, not horrible either. Now, silver in the pre-market putting in a lot of share volume, but we want to look at some of the options contract volume at that $75 level. We did put in some new all-time highs yesterday. Volume sitting around 8,430, and the open interest sitting around 6,130. That is going to be expiring this Friday. Now, Sean, BBAI putting in a lot of options volume yesterday at that $6.50 strike price. Volume sitting around 24,700 contracts. So those were opened and closed throughout the intraday session. And then we also have open interest still relatively high, around 10,800. So keep an eye out on that. We are slightly negative here in the pre-market session. Now, as for one of the bigger movers, guys, we were talking a lot about Amazon yesterday, so we may as well take a look and see what we got going on with the options chain. Now, some interesting things as well, too, that we're going to get into momentarily, but first things first, expiring this Friday at that $240 level, sitting around 51,000 contracts open and closed. That's quite a bit for Amazon, and then open interest still sitting around 24,400. You can see the bid and the ask spread, not wide at all, sitting around $5, relatively average. Now, as for your delta exposure, this is going to be an in-the-money contract, guys, so we're sitting around 0.589. And what do I mean? I know we talk about it quite often, but delta is essentially, so for every 1 point move in the underlying asset, you're going to see a $58 change in the contract pricing. And then with your gamma, with every $1 change in the delta, you're going to see a 58-cent increase into your delta. So it's essentially your rate of change. It may seem a little complicated, but that's all right. We're going to get into more depth with that. Now, as for your at-the-money IV, relatively high, guys, 30.3%. If we look at some of the other names like Apple and the Mag 7, aside from Tesla, we can get that into the high teens, lower 20s. But one thing that I wanted to pull up here, guys, is the contract that we're talking about right now. And it's funny, we were talking about how in NVDA we've seen a 60% decrease in a contract's value. Well, let's see the flip side of things. And how does this work? It's really important to note that intrinsic and extrinsic value come into play. So if you have a contract that's sitting, let's get a little bit more of an accurate reading here, around so a contract that's sitting around 35 cents and then climbs to a high of around $4.64. Well, how do I get a 1,220% return? Well, that's when your intrinsic and extrinsic value come into play. The chances of you purchasing this contract when it's in the money and getting that type of return, relatively low. But when you buy those far out of the money contracts, this is when you have the ability to do so. Is it always that easy? Absolutely not. But that's something interesting that I wanted to come in and talk about. Your extrinsic value is something essentially that you're buying extremely out of the money and only has time value, so there's no intrinsic value, which is the moneyness essentially of the contract. Intrinsic being if you're trading around $350 and you have a strike price that's at $345, well, you have $5 worth of intrinsic value in which the contracted price is derived from. All right, so considering we have Raheem coming up momentarily, let's get into some of the downgrades as well too, guys. ASTS on the top of the list, going from a sector perform to underperform by Scotiabank, down 6.3% here this morning. Now, some of the banks getting a downgrade as well too, guys. Bank of America by Wolf Research, going from an outperform to a peer perform, you're down 0.5%. Now, Sean, Big Bear AI, once again on the list. Cantor Fitzgerald, not giving that one the nod here. Overweight to neutral weight here, you're down 3.4% this morning. And JP Morgan, one of my favorite bank stocks here, outperform to peer perform, you're down 0.4%. Now, as for some of the upgrades, yes, SanDisk climbing higher, getting a price target raised by Bank of America, slightly negative here, but going from $300 to $390 and a strong buy there. Lowe's also getting the nod, guys. You're positive this morning, 1.45%, price target being raised to $285. Also going from an equal weight to an overweight. Now, XYZ Block, guys, positive here this morning, price target being raised to $83. You can see the ticker there, you're up 1.4% as well. And then Sionna Therapeutics, BTIG, giving them the nod, 0.73% here this morning, going from $50 to $58 with a buy rating.
Good look, Joe. It isn't always that upgrades and downgrades end up being on the notes, but and we'll even need the options plays because silver's on my mind today. After a crazy run to the upside yesterday, it's basically filled in the entirety of the gap as some of this commodity stuff is starting to pull back in here, and I'm looking for a fade today. 72. What's good about this is I was talking to Obi. He was trading this in the blue ocean, and that reminded me to look up blue ocean 72.6 afternoon support. And then when I looked over and pulled up blue ocean, 72.6 was a pivot price in the aftermarket and then resistance. So as long as we're under that, I'm looking for a fade. And then ASTS is on my list for a fade as well. Here, AST Space Mobile giving up all of yesterday's gains and kind of looking like it's red format, a bit of a head and shoulders play here, and probably due for a healthy pullback. whether it's them or Rocket Lab. The difference is Rocket Lab broke out through its high. AST has double topping underneath that 100. Yeah, so some of those upgrade, downgrades, and options activity catalysts can lead to interesting trade opportunities.
We just had Google here. I have a trade opportunity here. Thank you, Joe, for all that. Go over and get the sticky note right now. And it's just funny that this just happened. I just put this out about 2 minutes ago, the Google long, and it was just, I said it by fluke. I said it in the chat, imagine if this actually worked. And then all of a sudden, like, Google just bumped up about $1, but that would be awesome if that was actually the case, to just get long, then release the note. But the only long that I have on the note today is Google. We've got SoFi, IBIT, Google, and the TQs. We're going to be looking at all of those again there today, plus a bunch of other names. Interesting to see that Big Bear AI downgrade along with some option activity. I mean, it was up 8 or 9% yesterday. So yeah, no doubt going to chill out just for a minute here. Big Bear AI with a 20% short float. And yeah, I see what you're trying to do there, Cantor, just trying to get long. Let's just figure out what, what the next play is the next time it comes back in to the 200 period one more time again. So, for this name, I think you just keep buying it and holding it and waiting for the earnings. And then if they can turn some profits, then you'll see this name absolutely jump. And, because that's the problem. When these names start to put out, the shorts have to scramble to cover. So that's kind of what you're waiting for on Big Bear AI. This is a shot in the dark. Like, this is not something that you want to put your life savings in or anything like that. So Big Bear AI, up and down in one of those big runners, right? I mean, every day you can get 9 or 10% on this. So, but yeah, okay. So that's BBAI and some upgrades and downgrades, as we had mentioned here. We're just getting, we saw that story yesterday about oil and the sales of 30 to 50 million barrels, apparently, the U.S. is going to be taking onshore from Venezuela and then selling them at market prices. Donald Trump made a tweet or a post yesterday. The fact that, he's made a deal with Venezuela, 30 to 50 million barrels they're going to take and dump them on the market. So there you get a nice little downside play again in oil. And thank you to Ramin, because Neil and I had a discussion on Monday where it's right there in the thing, and I was talking about oil getting to the downside there. And yeah, I think that was a kind of an easy take. So 58.50 looks to be the top there for oil. We'll see if it's going to bounce in and around that $55 to $56 mark. And as we had sort of teased before, we are going to have, and I don't know if he's here, we never looked.
Just walked in.
Oh, just walked in. Oh, there he is. Okay, good, Raheem. So we're going to talk about Canadian oil and some of the plays over there and what energy might look like starting off in 2026. So that should be exciting there. But yeah, I don't know, man. Canada could be in trouble here if all this oil gets pushed onto the market, which it already is being. So.
Yeah, it's happening either way. It's like none of it looks all that great for Canada, but you have to remember, like, the vast majority of all those crazy reserves. Venezuela used to at one point produce 3 million barrels a day.
Yeah.
Now they're well under 1 million, and they're just to get back to 1 million. Sorry, I have Tesla up here because that's what I was going to look next. So don't ignore the chart. Chart doesn't matter here. They got 3 million barrels a day that they were producing. To get to 1 million, you're talking about billions and billions of dollars of improved infrastructure spending. It needs to happen over a decade. Then to get to that 3 billion, you're talking about triple that. There's so much that has to happen. And I think that's why the people are thinking, oh, it's going to be some immediate gain for Chevron, which, by the way, happens to be going up right now. But it's not going to be that simple. This is going to be a more long-term thing, for sure. And lo and behold, guess what it was when you look at some of the commodities that people were going nuts over as well over the weekend. Well, with this Greenland talk, that's where some of the follow-through has been through. Like, look at critical metals on day 2. Like, that's up again after a crazy breakout, still up another 5%. I'd be worried that there could be some frothiness after this is almost doubled up in the last week or so. There might be some frothiness up here for a bit of a pullback, but that was a much easier sustained play, was sort of looking at what might be the next craze instead of trying to chase that oil move. As said, we do have Raheem coming on through, and I want to remind everybody, actually this time not remind, I want to thank everybody for when dropping names in the chat, continuing to put that $, whether it's CVX or a Caterpillar. If you do so, then it makes it, well, it's not that it's easier, because realistically the stock, it only works in the stock visualizer if you do that. So it doesn't make it easier to see it in the visualizer. Right now, really, okay. I hadn't looked at it this morning yet. I wasn't expecting to see DVLT. They're down this morning. I wasn't expecting to see them on the list, but you got Silver and Tesla, Lucy, BBAI. We were just talking about APLD. I believe they report after the bell today. Alphabet, Sean was just mentioning. SoFi from yesterday. You've got, of course, some memory names like Micron in here. A couple of people mentioning Sidhu, that glue stock we talked about. So these are just the names that are the most mentioned in the chat, but you got to put that $sign in. But more importantly, you got to be in the chat in the first place. So jump in the chat. You have to be a subscriber. So hit the like and the subscribe. Jump in the waters, converse, ask questions, hopefully learn something, enjoy as well. And yeah, if you see a symbol that's moving that you think is interesting, you pop it in there and hit that $sign.
Yeah, we are getting all set and locked and loaded. You can see in the background, Raheem is ready to go. So we're going to throw it back over to Brendan and Raheem Alani right now and go talk all about energy and, of course, not the Baltimore Ravens.
Unless he wants to. I don't know. Raheem's taking pictures of.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Welcome to 2026. There's obviously nothing to talk about as per usual.
Quiet a couple days.
Yeah, you know, it's a good start to the year as far as opportunity, I think. And what we wanted to do was break down a little bit on how this is affecting not only Canadian energy specifically as a whole, but then maybe dive a little bit deeper into individual opportunities that could come from this, and maybe touch on mining as well in the Venezuela market, because that's obviously going to be in play here. But just from a higher perspective to kick things off, why the negativity, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Well, I think the obvious answer is you tell somebody that I'm going to bring all of these toys to the game and we don't need your toys anymore, is going to be sort of an obvious, oh my goodness, like just panic and fear. Once the market realized that Venezuela hasn't really put any work into their infrastructure since Chavez hasn't put any work into their infrastructure, so simply saying 3 billion barrels of oil is available over there, you kind of still have to go and get it. So I think the immediate panic and then pullback, and you saw yesterday some of these names started to creep back up, because just research analysts wrote, okay, that's horrible and amazing and whatever it is, and sentiment you believe is going to occur. What's actually going to take place is over the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, development of infrastructure. Then you're going to have to develop it to a point that can accommodate everything, because the oil that's there as well is a heavier type. It's a sour. I'm sure everyone here has heard heavy and sour versus light and sweet and all those things. And right now we're actually in a current state, probably through this year into next year, where we're in an oversupply state anyway. So when you take all those things, put them all together, then you're like, okay, let's pause and now let's figure out exactly what it's going to occur. So for the next, I think for this short term, call it 3, 6, 9 months, you're going to have a great trading environment for all the traders that are out there. It's going to be a great trading environment because you're going to see these names bop around on, somebody was seen in Caracas. That means this is going to happen. And then when you realize it's still going to take a long amount of time to get these barrels of oil online, that's the first piece of it.
And do they even know, when it comes to that timeline, do they even know exactly what that's going to look like as far as, from the investment standpoint all the way through to getting that oil online? Because I've heard, as you were saying, 3, 6, 9, 36 months. It doesn't seem to be targeted right now.
Yeah, I think to get kind of up to that 500,000 incremental mark, just your math is somewhere between 1 and 2 years, and that's going to be $10 to $20 billion. I don't think money is really going to be the issue when it comes to this, because it's just a rounding error at this point. So I think let's leave the money aside. I think the time is going to be the key thing. You're going to need people there. You're going to need infrastructure builds. You're going to need the Chevrons of the world, all the people that are going to be actually doing that work over there. And you're going to need to be doing it fast. But I think even just to get to a 1 to 2 year mark is where you're going to get to that bigger number. And then if you want to get to the grandiose number of 3 to 4 million, this is what we used to do with Chavez, and that you're looking at 100 billion. And even that number, I don't think anyone in America is scared of, that 100 billion number. It's, again, still going to be 3 to 4 years. There's only so much you can do.
So let's bring it back north of the border here a little bit. When it comes to what that means for the energy sector in Canada, it's not good, first of all. And is there a way that they can maybe hedge this a little bit?
So I think there's two answers to that. The first answer is Canada, I mean, the majority of the Canadian oil does go to the U.S., as we all know. Now, if the majority of the oil is going there, where is it going? Now, 30% of the oil does go to the Midwest, 10% roughly goes to the West Coast, and 10% goes to the Gulf Coast. The Gulf Coast is going to be where we as Canada are going to be competing now with this new Venezuelan oil when it does come online. So it's not a massive dent, but it is a dent. So Alberta is obviously going to be up in arms because that is a big portion. It's going to be a couple percent of their GDP. If that 10%, all of it pulls out, it's 3%, 4% of Alberta's GDP, which is a big number that you don't want to give up. So that's part A, because we do have this similar type of heavier oil that needs to be refined. So we've got that kind of competition with the Venezuelan oil, let's call it. But what that does is for the 97th time, Canada's got a kick in the pants. Like, go do something. Like, Trump has given you enough times to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Carney's saying, okay, we're going to start to do this. And for Canada, we're a very slow country, as all of our American investors, please feel free to make fun of how slow we are about doing things. It just takes forever. And I think just for the 97th time, there's going to be another kick in the pants to say, go do something. Go build this pipeline to the West. And let's look at somebody other than the guy below us as the person that we should be buying from.
It's hard. It's it's hard not to comment. Our government currently in Paris talking about global issues. So clearly not paying attention to this at all at the moment. As far as individual names on the north side of the border here, is there maybe part of the sector that is going to be hit harder? Is there maybe part of the sector that might be okay? I mean, I ripped through a couple of the charts that you sent me this morning. As you said, some of them had a really, really bad day on Monday, but then bounced back nicely yesterday. Others didn't.
Yeah, I think all of them did. Like, if you look at any of the charts, it was like this for December. Yeah. And then January 5th was this, and then most of them retrenched to a point. Did they get back to where they were on Jan 1? Some did, some didn't. And again, I think it's just pause, breathe, and let's go back and look at what that change meant. It's the same thing that happened on tariff day. Yeah. Right? On tariff day, every stock went like this, and then everyone stopped and said, well, what does that actually mean? Yeah. Let's take a breath and let's look at what does this actually mean, right? So even for the guys who specifically send all their oil to Texas, that's going to take a big hit. But at the end of the day, what's really going to happen in the next 3, 6, 9 months? Probably not as much as everyone thought. And you probably saw, if anyone pays attention to the research reports that banks put out, a lot of banks probably put out research reports on companies and just on the sector yesterday and on Monday, just talking about what it is, what the effect is, and the immediacy bias, I think, retreats a little bit. And that's why you saw some of these stocks not continue their downfall, but they continue now to start buying back up.
All right, let's look at a few. Canadian Natural Resources, I mean, we've talked about it many, many times on the show. CNQ, as you said, a couple of days in a row here downside, but I mean, there's all kinds of support under this, so I think it could be worse overall. Yeah, no, again, for all of these names, you're going to see just like on the 5th, it went from $34, went down to 31. It's bounced back up to 31.5. Just putting, like, this is a name I'm sure everyone out there knows, and if they don't, it's one of the larger Canadian energy names. And just, you've seen that chart, and just, if you buy the fact that Canada's not going to be as adversely affected as everyone, doom and gloom, then you pick off this bottom, because it looks to be like a bottom here somewhere around 31 that formed. Look at me speaking trader. I feel like Sean and Neil right now. You see that bottom come in, right? So I think you're going to start to see that support come back in. And again, as people understand the gravity of what the last couple of days have been. Is it going to be a case, and maybe this is a wider perspective type of question, but is it going to be a case where, what happens in 6 months, what happens in 12 months, as far as when these names start actually reporting production and sales and numbers and earnings report, that we actually see the follow through maybe? I think it's going to be actually more than that. I think what you're going to see in the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, the most important things are not going to be necessarily their production numbers. It's going to be more their guidance of what they're going to be seeing for 27. And in my opinion, just being a capital markets guy, where they're going to be spending their money, what their CapEx programs are going to look like. Are they going to say, hey, we're going to spend a lot more money doing this particular thing that feeds the US, then maybe they don't really feel like there's an issue. If it's, we're going to do all these things to support this
Canada West pipeline that's coming, that tells you something else. Or is it altogether off the charts saying we're going to start investing in Africa? Like, it just depends on which direction they go.
Yeah.
That'll be the most important thing. And with these larger names, like I've always said, when you love yourself, you buy yourself. So you either give out the dividends, you do share buybacks. And so as long as these companies are continuing with their dividends and not adversely changing their budgets, for the larger ones, that's what I would look out for.
All right, Suncor here had the panic candle that actually closed almost right back where it opened 2 days ago, and then we were green yesterday. So
yeah, it was up. It was a 0.5% at the end of the day. So if you're a trader, like everyone here watching is, great name to trade yesterday, right? And again, just a larger name. You saw the panic selling. People are like, read the newspaper from the day before, said, oh my God, Suncor, Canada Energy, I'm going to sell everything. And then you could just be able to pick that up, and you saw the move right back to the upside.
Yeah, BTE on the smaller end of the scale here, but $3 stock. It's had a great end to last year.
Yep.
Here we are, kind of chopping around still in the same range.
Yeah, and again, this is just a name that on day of, it went from Canadian 450 down to 418, came back up to about 428. They recently sold a very large asset, or $3.5 billion asset, in the States. So they've de-risked themselves from the States exposure a little bit, but they still do, they're one of the names that still do some refining in the U.S., or sending product down to get refined in the U.S. So that's just a name to keep an eye on because of its U.S. touch points.
Yeah, that's Baytax for anyone wondering, also on the NYSE. Smaller end of the scale still, TVE. I want to make sure we can get to mining in a sense here. Tennessee Valley, talk about that one.
Tamarack Valley.
Oh, Tamarack Valley, my mistake.
They
Sorry.
should change their name to Tennessee Valley. Hey guys, listen.
The NYSE listing, it's the NYSE listing.
Suggestion from Brendo is change your name to Tennessee Valley.
Works better.
I think it's going to go really well for you because people are going to love it. They're going to be like, Tennessee, it must be in Tennessee, so let's go. Tamarack Valley, it's a name that's putting out 12, 13 cents a month on a dividend basis. So just that's a name to keep an eye on the smaller end. But if it's a name that's putting out on a monthly basis, 12, 12.5, 13, 13.3 cents in December, you keep putting those dividends out, keep an eye for January, keep an eye for February. Again, for that short term, you're still gonna get those dividends as they go over the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. Let's see, do they change their dividends? Do they stay where they're at? That'll tell you what their thinking is as well.
Right.
But as a name, just to be able to clip up a couple cents off that as well.
Now, there was instantly comments and a storyline around Colombia being right next door to Venezuela on whether or not something might happen as far as Colombia is concerned. Nothing obviously has since, but PXT, Parex Resources, does do a lot of Colombia energy.
Yeah, they are a strictly Colombia play. So I thought let's get that one on the list. As if you're looking at, you've probably seen other Canadian names, you've seen the US names. This is Colombia. So whichever side you lean on politically, if you think Colombia might have something happen, this company's strictly in Colombia. You saw the price drop, you saw it move back up. Just with whatever side of the coin you're on. That's a pure trade. If you think Colombia is going to be next, then you go in and trade accordingly, right?
Just to wrap things up, you and I talked a little bit about the mining side of things. Maybe just give everyone an overview to start here on what the mining market specifically is like in Venezuela, and how does that come into play?
Yeah, so I think that one's going to be the really interesting. I had a good conversation with a big mining company yesterday, and we were chatting about what happens with Venezuela. And as some of our viewers might know, when I speak profusely about mining, there are certain regions that are known for mining. Obviously, Canada, we are a mining hub. But when you go into Central America, South America, there is a ton of mining that takes place with Canadian companies, Chinese companies, Australian companies, American companies. So there is a lot of mining that does take place. And when there are issues with that particular country, companies that have spent a lot of money in there, things happen. Like we talked about, I think about it just at the end of 24 with Panama and First Quantum, right? Where the Panamanian government said, that's nice, you've done this, we're just gonna take it back over here. And that caused big issues for First Quantum. Now, Venezuela is in a belt that is known for mining, along with a lot of countries that are nearby. So there's a lot of mining that's done in Colombia, Peru, like all over Latin South America. Guyana's had a couple of big finds recently, or refines recently. So Venezuela has had a lot of mining take place, specifically around gold. There has been a lot of gold mining in the past. There have been companies that have left the country because of political uncertainty. And so that's part A. Part B is copper. Copper, we've touched all the time, where you just crossed $6 on copper. So copper's been a massive play. Venezuela more than likely does have copper. It hasn't been investigated for copper. People have investigated Venezuela for gold because of the fact that there is a predominance of gold and there is predominance just around the value of gold itself. So something that maybe we can pick up on next time is we can look at companies that do have assets in Venezuela and just seeing the touch points, or just do your own homework at home. Companies that do have mining assets in Venezuela, and look at their board, look at their management, look at their people. Do they have ties to the American government? Because if they do, that'll make life easier for them. And if they don't, maybe they'll find someone to take the asset off their hands because of the fact that they can now go in and do this work in Venezuela. I was joking with a buddy yesterday. Like, there's a lot of flights that are now going, like every private equity fund, bank, just check out where the private jets are going, who's on the private jet, and check the manifest. And if Neil and Sean are going, you just see what they're up to. Right? Like, there's a lot of stuff happening. A lot of people that are going down there.
Sean's shaking his head right now, nodding in agreement. So next week.
Next week. All right.
So we'll check in after that. But I mean, it's a fascinating storyline, obviously, with multiple layers, I think, that could still unfold here. So great opportunities to go forward here. Rahim Alani is Managing Director of OCI Groups here in Toronto. Happy New Year and good to have you back.
Happy New Year, guys.
Thanks, Rahim. Yeah, I couldn't get the private jet for this week. Like Rahim was saying, there's too many people using it. I don't own one. I just rent it out. So
I still get triggered anytime someone says monitoring who's on private jets.
Shohei Ohtani.
Triggers that Ohtani thing.
But now we got that other guy at least.
Yeah. What's
Big Oak.
He had his press conference.
Yeah, I know, it was great.
He's excited to come to Toronto.
Of course, 29-year-old man getting paid the most he's ever made, so he might as well do it. But go ahead. I mean, I was going to say that oil here, I mean, this is just the last couple days. I mean, there's $59 down to 56, 57, starting to tank a little bit here again now. And we hear more and more talk, as Rahim was going on there, that, U.S. is planning on dumping some of this oil into the market and then talking about, getting it all refined over there in Venezuela. And, that is going to affect some of those Canadian names. You know, we talked about Canadian Natural Resources. BTE was an interesting one. This is also traded. Baytex is also here on the U.S. market. So this could be something to look at if you are interested at all. And you can see nice downside push there yesterday afternoon. And there's that BTE. It looks like it could possibly be that flat bottom break right there. So you're down through $3. Could be an interesting name there to watch out for. BTE was just at $2 the beginning of, during the fall, and then had that huge bump up, and now we'll see where that goes on this Venezuelan news. So this is an interesting name. Out of all the ones that Rahim mentioned to me, this looks like it's about to break down through that 50-period moving average. So Baytex here, BTE, on watch for me. And then, we just heard the same thing in our ear, man. Google continues to push higher here. I have it on the note to get long on TPU talk from JP Morgan, but that's already starting to go a little bit here. Light volume. I mean, any of these names could easily come right back in, but Google looking pretty sweet. We're going to do it when we go over the rundown, but down here around 310 is where I talked about it. But again, that's when it was more around here. Now we are starting to take off a little bit. Like, it's easy to write down 310 when it's at 313. Now it's up $2.50. If it was down $2.50, we'd be a little more excited. But so far so good there. And good talk from Rahim. Thank you so much for coming through and putting some clarification on some of the expectations here. Oh, there goes Google, just took out 316. So I don't know if Joe has that button over there, Joe, Austin 316, because Google just took out 316 right now. So we'll figure out where that's going, but
it doesn't hit it.
And then you have another name. I don't know what Joe's doing.
Almost red to green again.
Yeah, there's another name going right there in Intel.
Yeah, there's some random moves in the market bouncing, and the ES just got to the green here. The Nasdaq's kind of on its way to getting into the green. Intel just bumped 1% to the upside. This had an afternoon rally in yesterday's trade, and it wasn't on the note, but I'm going to have to put this on the sidebar. Like, it just made the iPad. I didn't think this was going to be terribly exciting today. Just kind of waiting to see what it did off the $40 level. But they had their presentation too at CES. You have Mobileye making an acquisition. Mobileye is double digits. I think it's done 20% in the last 2 days if you include today. And they're making an acquisition. And Intel's still getting some of that benefit of the bump up. But it looks like it's trying to make a bit of a breakout. So like I said, this one will end up it's on the iPad, not necessarily I'm going to trade it right away kind of deal, but the fact that it's holding the 40 in a positive way, it kind of goes from, yeah, there's a fail break and look for lower highs and continuation on short, which was not there when I sat down. Now all of a sudden it looks like a bit of a breakout long. So lots to watch, no questions asked. The market trying to go, silver still heading downside with gold a little bit weak. Oh, but we just had, we got a super chat too. Gary on what? Oh, did that not work? Let me try this again. There it goes. Okay, want to make sure we get that up. Gary retired. How do you interpret SoFi chart after up 8%, then down 10% on old news? Well, if we're interpreting the chart, then I don't know how much the news has to do with it. I find what'll end up happening sometimes when there's a big move, and this is all part of the social media area too, right? So there'll be a big move on a stock, and thus everyone's searching what is going on with that stock. And so in order to get clicks, you just find some article that you can reference to and be like, what is going on in SoFi? And then you have like some old story, and then that can end up getting rehashed in the news cycle because everyone's searching for something, which could just possibly be technical. So I'll leave the news part out of it, but anytime I see something, like this is almost similar to what I'm looking for on ASTS, although ASTS I think is a little bit more clear with the range, where you have a complete V-shaped recovery and then it could be setting up a head and shoulders, where you have one shoulder and then another, and then you fail that resistance and then head back down. That's at about 27.5. So that's just the way I look at it. The reason I look at it on ASTS is just a little bit more, it's at a top where it's a little bit more distinct and a bit of a tighter range for the shoulder for it to set up a down move, but it's a similar sort of thing there with SoFi. But I leave the news out of it because we were noting this last year. We're like, how many times did we find some stock that was moving, there'd be nothing going on, and then lo and behold, something old starts circulating so people can, you're gravitating, when everyone's asking about SoFi, they're gravitating to the person that posted this article, and then all of a sudden, whatever service or whomever it has gets a bunch of click-throughs, even though it's old news. So I'm going to leave the news out of it for SoFi.
I have SoFi written down as a short, so it's going to be on the sticky note here today. We're going to cover it most likely in the rundown, or if not, we'll be going over all of this, and Neil just did as well. So I'm going to try to look at this like 27.15 area. I wrote down on the note here for SoFi that, of course, we would do 27.25. Was that what it was? Yeah, 27.25 area. So I don't know. This is day 2 SSR. So not, you can't go short off the bid here. You got to go short off the offer. So we have to let it pump up, then take the offer, and then see if it can drop back down. Obviously, it really fell, crazy yesterday, and then I lost money shorting it back to the upside as it broke eventually at the end of the day through VWAP, and now it's just hovering around those same spots. So this is the 27, it's 27.15 all the way up here. That's 27.30. So somewhere in this area, I'm looking short. So we'll see what happens, but better to see what the market does before we decide exactly what we want to do. But I'm looking short in the overall market, with SoFi being one of the top contenders, and then Google was the #1 long, like as if, right? Like the Nasdaq's doing absolutely nothing. The only long that I write down on the board is Google, and there it goes there. On a little note that we had posted about TPU, we're going to go over our watches in just a couple of seconds. It's 8:57 right now. Put your ideas in the chat if there's any names that you're looking to trade, and reasons why. Neil and I will indicate it. We talked about glue before. You just hit that ASTS. We're going to be talking some Tesla, energy names. I'm just looking. We have the news feed in front of us as well. We've got Adair in the back covering any live news stories that wind up popping up. We had a jobless non-farm number come out, which was relatively irrelevant there.
We got JOLTS at 10 though, so maybe that'll give a bump.
Yeah. Anything like that. It's only 9 o'clock right now, so we still have an hour before that goes. I just see something about a Joby story here, but it's not hitting in my ear or anything. Just signs agreement to acquire 700,000 square feet production site in Dayton, Ohio. Shout out to the Paul brothers there, to support aircraft manufacturing. So, all right, so there you go, man. There are 700,000 square foot. Wow, a big facility there for Joby in Dayton, Ohio. So, shout out to all of you in the lovely state of Ohio. You're now going to get some Joby business over there as well. So interesting name into CES. We'll have all the CES talk early and late as those all get popped in. Remember, it's in Vegas, so you got to play the 3 hour, the PST there, the Pacific time, as opposed to what we're doing here Eastern time in lovely Toronto, Ontario, which was a pretty good day today. Outside, it got last night was nasty, a lot of rain.
Yeah, as long as it wasn't freezing rain in the morning.
Yeah, and it was pretty good. I think it's just above 0 degrees Celsius right here right now, so 32-ish or so Fahrenheit.
You know what's warming up right now? Believe it or not, GameStop.
Yeah.
You can't make this up. They're doing the Elon thing. From now on, we just call it the Elon, where you're like, well, nothing's happening in the stock. So what we're going to do is we're going to announce that we have an aggressive pay package for, in this case, it'll be Ryan Cohen, to maybe bolster the stock. So aggressive targets need to be hit. This one will end up being on the watch list. And when I say nothing was happening in the stock, I get it. It was up like a couple of days to start the year, kind of still languishing around this like $20 level. But the entirety of this 5% move is going to be because of that. So I saw a few people in the chat. They're like, hey, GameStop's moving. It's got some news. That's why it's on the watch list. It's not a ton of pre-market volume, but it's more than prior days, but it's not a lot. And it's already made a bit of a high. So a couple of things worth noting there. Good, but not great volume. I feel like there is better in play stocks. Heck, Intel just went up and broke again. You've got that glue stock. There was, in the other direction, there's also Citus. Oh, wait a minute, this bounced? Okay, Citus actually bounced off the lows. It's almost back at $5. No, Citus had a huge day yesterday. It went $4 through $5, and was watching this one, and it lost $5 early. It was down at 4.5. So I was thinking, oh, maybe Citu is done, but a little bit of a recovery. So even this small cap has done some good volume. Lots to watch. Let's get right into it, because that watch list that I was just referencing, we're about to go over it starting at the desk.
Just reading a note here, guys, from Piper as well on this one. ON Semiconductor, back to basically break even. It was negative, actually, to start things off in the pre-market. But ON Semi, yet to record a red day here in 2026 so far. So maybe one to watch coming up this morning as well. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you grab that. Absolutely free, as always. Link is below in the description. Top link will get you to the watch list, or the sign-up page for the watch list. All you need is your email address, and then it comes right to your inbox every day. Everything you need to know on it, what's moving, what's not, why. Then you come join us at 8 o'clock. We'll talk about these memory stocks to kick things off here. It's been quite the run-up for both Micron and SNDK. SNDK stealing the show in a big way yesterday. 28% to the upside when all was said and done. Both pulling back in a little bit this morning. But, I mean, if you zoom out to a daily chart, these have just been absolutely crazy and continue. Micron actually catching a little bit of a bid right now.
Yeah, and it was funny because memory plays did comprise the best performers here in the S&P 500. SanDisk and Micron were both up there, but WDC and STX as well. So this sector is really good as far as I've been seeing here for the top performance of this year in the couple days we've had. They're also back at the top. I do want to talk about some analyst notes we got. With regards to SanDisk, we did have a cautious note coming out of Jefferies basically saying that from what they're hearing, that SanDisk bulls might be a little bit too optimistic with the way they're pricing in certain NAND-related catalysts out of Europe could be a little bit incorrect or unfairly weighted. That being said, B of A also here upping its price target on SanDisk from 300 to, I believe, 390. UBS, meanwhile, coming out here with Micron upping its price target from $300 to $400. You can read about some of these analyst notes on our morning watch list, as mentioned. But yeah, Brendan, I think it'll be interesting to see if we get a pullback here or if they try to keep this rally going, because it's been very hard to stop them yet.
I can't stop staring at this chart. I mean, even just the candle from yesterday was impressive on, it's worth noting at the bottom there, massive green volume for SNDK once again. Go back to September, it was $50. I mean, it's 500 and something % here to the upside so far since September for SanDisk. Neil.
Yeah, absolutely incredible charts. But just before we get there, this headline just dropped and Boeing was just on the move. Boeing just popped $3 here. Alaska Airlines announces the largest airplane order in the airline's history. It'll be 110, I believe, was it? Well, okay, yeah, 105 737s, and I think it's in 5 787s, so 110 in total. So big order there for Boeing. Is there you can see it as well in the bottom of the screen. Big move up here, now 1.5% on Boeing to said upside. Look, I sort of said this before, like sometimes no trade is a trade, and you can believe that some cautionary tales to how far and fast this SNDK has gone and how parabolic it's been. This is one where I kind of like pay for locates for the chance that that's the rollover day, and it just hasn't happened. There's been some small pullbacks, but yesterday was completely and utterly parabolic. For sure. It got through $350. It outpaced Micron by a lot, but I think it was almost like 2.5 times over Micron, which Micron, right now, they're projecting 4x in the next earnings, which is crazy if you go year over year on that EPS. And it's like, okay, well, the forward PE might be under 10, but the current is like, for Micron, the current is like 29 or something. It's about 29. So these next earnings, they can't miss. Like, the expectations are very high. I know we have a few months, but they really can't miss. So what I'm seeing here is you have a pullback in Micron, and you are moving to the downside as we speak. And I kind of felt like the first time it showed a sign of weakness, that would be the opportunity here in SNDK. But you got to let this one settle at the open. Like, when it decides to move one way at the open, it's going to go. It was downside the other day like $20, and then it was upside like $50 or $60 right away off of the bat. So if it hasn't like definitively broken down like the first day, like whether break up 350 or break down 340, if that hasn't happened, then you run the risk of getting rinsed if you're trying to play inside and then just getting absolutely smoked. So I think this clearly is due for some kind of a pullback. So I have to wait and see where we're sitting at about 930. But if Micron continues this trend, I think there's an opportunity here on SNDK, but being very picky about it has sort of saved me from getting smoked trying to short this thing.
All right, just reading through this Boeing headline again. Alaska picking up 105 more Boeing 737 MAX 10s, and then 5 787-10 Dreamliners in addition to that. As Adair and I were just commenting there off camera, when they will actually see those planes is an entirely different question to be asking. But I mean, good order, anyways, for Boeing. IBIT, let's talk about crypto here. Downside this morning, continuing to slide over the past 3 days after the New Year hype, I guess. It's pullback. When it will end, let's see.
I mean, to be fair, we're kind of pulling back into the end of the new year as well. So this just kind of seems like more of the same, but it is not more of the same for strategy. So I touched on this story, I think about a month ago. I think I'm going to mention it in like that mid-December area. But basically, MSCI, they said that they were considering what to do here with these digital asset treasuries, or DATs. Should we be keeping them in the indices? So that would have been pretty icy there for MSTR strategy, because of course that is what they do, is they are that treasury type play. Well, MSCI had until January 15th to make the decision. That come out earlier than expected, making this decision as of now, saying that, quote, distinguishing between investment companies and other companies that hold non-operating assets, like digital assets, as part of their core operations rather than for investment purposes requires further research and consultation with market participants. So it's worth noting they didn't entirely take it off the table, but they basically said, hey, for right now, we're going to keep them in the MSCI. And I also want to mention here, Coinbase is going to be at CES tomorrow, or at least one of their executives. There's going to be a whole digital asset talk. So I've been working on a pretty detailed schedule for CES for Exit TTV Research. So Coinbase tomorrow at CES. Did not think crypto would be making an appearance, but here we are.
It's turning into, I mean, it was the consumer electronics show. It's turning into the AI and digital
buzzword
show. Yeah, over the past couple of years now. I wasn't expecting, or at least I read anyways, initially, that there wasn't going to be as much on autonomous driving and the automotive side of things, but that certainly has not been the case. It's been all about cars.
Yeah, not at all the case. We had Mobileye there yesterday. I know there's an event tomorrow that's going to involve Rivian, Lucid, and Stellantis. Tonight we have another Lucid and Uber event, so keep an eye on that. That's going to be, I think, around 7 p.m. ET, so certainly after the bell. But yeah, I think, Brendan, the amount of car content far exceeds the expected amount of car content, I think.
Definitely. All right, IBIT here. I mean, we're right here, right now, at this support level that's held up here for the past couple of days, or at least yesterday and this morning in the pre-market, guys. Crypto, though, looks like it's trending downside still.
Yeah, I had it for a short yesterday. It's still again for a short today, but yesterday kind of ended the day with a long. And even in the aftermarket, that's the MSTR, MicroStrategy, MSCI news, getting a bump in the aftermarket. So I kind of feel like you throw that out, right? Like that's great. Like I guess it goes up there on a little bit of light volume, but it gives up the entirety of that move. So I'm looking at that 52.5. Obviously, it looked like we had a much better chance. Now we're breaking some lows here. It looked like we had a much better chance to pop and fade this thing. But we are heading down into support at $51.50 on IBIT. So that'll be, I mean, you want to think about like the 90,000 area, I guess, would be the best way to think about it. But if we don't get the pop, then I'll look at this volume weighted average price as something to work off of, because I'm still thinking crypto or Bitcoin, I should say, on a bit of a dip.
Look, I have IBIT written down here, 52.75. So we'll go short 52.75 area. And I mean, it was just, the only talk that I had was it just couldn't hold 94K. So we're going to stick with an early short bias right now. And now you're starting to break down. And of course, you have to remember something, like we write these things down pre-8 o'clock. And it's, you know, at that time, this 52.75 was something to be talked about. But right now, it's heading lower. So you're almost down $1 from the area that I'd like to go short now on IBIT. So I'm still going to try to look at like yesterday's closing area right here between 52.40 to 52.50. And it looks like right now we are about to, you know, unfortunately, and it sucks because I'm long. It's not a lot of the portfolio. I think I was saying this before. It's like 2 or 3%, and that includes Cardano, XRP, but you know, primarily IBIT would be. Actually, if I use, I'm just talking about my coins. Actually, if I use IBIT as a holding, then it's going to be a little bit more than that. But IBIT coming back in right now, and 51.60s or so. You know, look out for maybe that to be some kind of support, and if you even get lower, then into $51 there today. But you know, just looking at the big chart for Bitcoin, it's just in a range. I don't think it's anything too much to worry about right now. I mean, this just goes back here to, this is a 15-minute chart, so you're only going back to January 3rd. So you're back 4 or 5 days right into this area again, and this is where we bunched up. So I think that this is that whole $51 mark or so. If we can get down to 91,000, then maybe that's where we stop, and it's at 91.6 right now. But you know, it's just one of those things where you're going to have to play the ebbs and flows of Bitcoin, and today it looks like it's trying to go downside. So I think you play that, and then we did look a little bit. We don't have it on there, which is fine, and I'm not sure if I was talking with Raheem and it wouldn't let me go. But you know, MSTR, we had said this again around 8 o'clock when we opened the show, that you know, the fact that it was up 4% because it was not kicked out of MSCI, I mean, it should still follow whatever Bitcoin does. And the reason why MSCI is uncertain of this name is because it doesn't know anything that it does other than Bitcoin holdings. So if Bitcoin is going to continue to go down, MSTR, is a down play today. Unfortunately, I'm not playing the bump up because they did not get delisted. I'm going to, or taken away from the MSCI indexes. I think this is a good short today too, MSTR. So I would be going short everything in the crypto space until we see another hold of that 90 to 91,000. It's all just a technical issue here for Bitcoin, and right now it's trying to balance between that 90 to 95 and play the bottom, play the top, and you'll be fine with Bitcoin. But right now, 91.6, man, it's getting lower here. So IBIT's still going lower as we get ready to open the day up. All right, so there it is. So from, you know, one play crypto, completely different, not too much use case there for Bitcoin. You know, next. And the next one here is what we're doing. I have to say that because
barrels a day just in the U.S. alone.
People are going to at me about use case for Bitcoin now, probably.
It ain't like oil.
That's what I was leading to there. Let's go over to oil there. We did have a great segment from Raheem. You could rewind it to 8:30, find out all about his opinion here on Venezuela. But let's go find it from the desk, and then we'll talk about some potential energy plays.
You kicked the ball over.
To jump back to the top of the list there, we were talking about those memory stocks. One we didn't mention was Western Digital, WDC. Just reading a note on WDC, the move that this has had, largest 200-day gain, so going back 200 days, largest 200-day gain in over 40 years for this stock, WDC at 216.
Oh my God.
One to watch maybe today as well. 220.50 was line in the sand at the highs yesterday, went out right at the highs. All right, yeah, we mentioned oil with Raheem. If you pull up any of these stocks, I just looked at a few, but that was CVX. There's Suncor. We talked about that with Raheem a little bit. These have been great fades off the open for 2 days in a row here. Just pick one. I mean, they've all just come in 2 days in a row here. So whether or not we get that type of action again remains to be seen. But fading energy may be a good play.
Yeah, and I think one of the most dramatic of these movers off the open, Brendan, has been Chevron. I think even the move yesterday was maybe much more dramatic than the move we had the first day. We did end up seeing a bit of a rebound. No rebound to speak of yesterday for CVX. But I also don't think this energy play is at all over. You know, as Brendan and I were saying, Venezuela apparently turning over 30 million to 50 million barrels of sanctioned oil to the U.S. Those will be sold at market prices. But according to CNBC, that's only going to be the first tranche. These shipments could continue indefinitely. Now, this comes as we also get reports that tomorrow, on Thursday, we're going to get some oil executives meeting at the White House to discuss the Venezuela situation. So this could certainly get interesting. There was also a report here with Chevron teaming up with regards to Lukoil. You can read more about that on our Trading TV Live watch list. But the point is, it's really easy to find catalysts here for oil. We'll have to see if we get that same price action, though, that we got today as what we got on Monday and Tuesday, because the market seeming to have a really hard time keeping these to the upside.
Just a little bit related, but I haven't seen anything on this yet. Just saw this starting to move. Bloom Energy just ripped up here on a 15-minute chart anyways, 102 up to 105. Not a lot of volume behind this, but BE right back to highs from the past couple of days as well.
It's not even springtime and the thing's blooming already. This thing might be a take.
11% short float on that one. On Bloom, that is obviously not I don't know, like CVX or anything. You know what? Look, this Chevron thing might be. Hopefully, it oversells, because as far as I'm concerned, you just go back to whatever the heck it was before, which is on a monthly chart. The stock has been between basically $140, most of the time 170. You know, a little bit here. If you go back to 2022, it was over 170. But for the last 3 years, it's 140 to 170 and a dividend. So if we're retracing this exuberant move back in, then you happen to like it, then you just wait for 140 and you buy that, because you know, it's kind of just go back to like regular scheduled programming when it comes to a stock like this, and maybe look elsewhere for some excitement. I don't know if it's, I don't know. When I looked at it here on the daily, I mean, I don't see too much of a day trade, because temporarily maybe it bounced off that prior high. So I think it's a chance that you could get a bit of a relief rally today, but it's not enough that it has me interested. I think like when you look at something, even just now that Brennan mentioned, Bloom, because I mean, we know this stock, like this is an actual mover when it goes. So when I see, and I'm just pulling this out for the first time, when I saw that spike up, I guess it's not really through this double top, but you know, looking at this, maybe this breaks a double top today. I mean, there's like a pretty high probability that whatever Bloom does today will be more exciting than Chevron. And you know, you've seen the last 3 years on Chevron, basically you can get 10, 15% buying off of those lows at 140 and pick a dividend up with it. But if you don't do that and buy near the highs, then you don't do it, you're not making anything over the last few years. So it just requires some serious patience. XOM would be the same thing too. You look at either one of them. It's just patient and buying the lows. You can't do anything else.
Yeah, so we called that move a while ago down in oil, and Neil just highlights that exactly there for Chevron. I mean, if you're sticking in that stock, it's done nothing for 10 years or whatever, 5 years, and you've caught in a dividend. But if that's dividends aren't worth anything with the way the market's been going. But oil companies are pretty good. That's for sure. They're pretty safety plays right there. I mean, that chart of the monthly just shows that. I think there is a spot in everybody's portfolio to collect fixed income. And that's kind of like what Chevron and XOM have been. If you've sold the top and bottoms and bought the bottom, sold the tops, I think it's been a great trade. That's been hard to find, of course. So I don't mind holding those stocks for dividends. There's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, this is what oil has been doing, and now you're getting the story of more dumping of oil onto the market. And, yeah, that's not going to be good, regardless of light, sweet, crude, heavy, light, whatever. It's not a great movement here for oil over the last little while. So I would still be net short. The name that I thought, just because for refining, I mean, all we hear about, and we even heard this from Raheem, you know, heavy and sour versus light and sweet and all that kind of stuff. Well, the only name that's really held up not the only name, there's other names, but a name that has held up pretty good on that initial bump and actually had a good day was Valero. And I think that they're looking to break out here again, up another 4% there. So especially as we talk about bringing that oil back, I mean, these refiners are in the United States, and we're getting ready for that break. Here's 185. So that's going to be, I mean, what is Valero out today? 183. Okay, we just broke through. So, You guys do what you think, but I like Valero right here. So any kind of a dip buy against that all-time, I don't think it's all-time high, but against that 185 high, Valero got to be a trade, man. So breaking out right there, we've seen multiple plays like this, whether it be gold or silver or anything, touch these tops, come back in, then just rip off through the top side. So obviously you're getting a very, very big story now globally about the sort of the powers that be. Can Colombia, are they going to be the next nation that's focused by President Trump? And we talked about Canada as well, and he's thrown some shade at Canada, 51st state and whatever. That's going to affect some of these oil companies, and we don't have any real refiners up on the north side. So yeah, I like Valero in this space, and I think it's going to be a good trade as oil downside today, silver downside today, Bitcoin down today, gold down today. Like a lot of these sort of fixed assets here are getting to the downside, and maybe risk go on now in the Nasdaq and on the ES. I mean, we're pretty much flat on the day. It's not great to see these moves happening here today, especially because there's been a lot of excitement about momentum plays. But this has been happening for silver now for about a week and a half, where every day it seems to be 4 or 5%. So silver, gold, Bitcoin, and energy all to the downside here today. So let's see what this does to the overall equity markets. Normally, when you get money taken away from this class, you go into either fixed assets like a T-bill or something a little longer term, or maybe people are rotating back into the market. So we'll figure what this means right now. Just hearing some Netflix news, but I think we've already covered. Is Netflix? Oh, it's coming up next. Okay, good. So let's go over there. Netflix getting a bump up now into 91 again, so that's good. We're going to go back over. Let's get the story from the desk, and then we'll figure out if there's a trade in Netflix or Warner Brothers or Paramount today.
Yeah, a little bit of an uptick here. I mean, the stock itself overall not doing a heck of a lot so far in the pre-market this morning after the down day yesterday. But here we are once again back in the same situation. Warner Brothers coming out saying they unanimously recommend shareholders to reject the Paramount bid. Whether or not this means Larry Ellison finally steps in and just says, put a number on it that Netflix can't touch, and just finalizes this once and for all. I've heard a few people mention that could be the next step. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen, but we'll see. I mean, this whole back and forth thing at some point has to stop.
Well, and here's the thing. I truthfully, Brendan, I'm of the opinion that I don't think there's anything they could put at the table that would make Warner Brothers accept it at this point. Like, we even had the chair of the board, Samuel DiPiazza, right after WBD announced this rejection. He went on CNBC and he said, look, we're not in dialogue with Paramount, and if they want a deal, they have to bring something really compelling. So I get the vibe that unless that something is like, I don't know, a million studios, or I don't even know if it's monetary. I think it's some kind of unquantifiable presence or vibe that they want. But it seems like WBD is very happy with the deal they struck with Netflix. And again, it's worth noting, this deal was struck with Netflix. There's a dialogue with Netflix as opposed to Paramount just coming in trying to continuously throw money at it. I think for that structure reason, I think it'll be pretty tough for anything PSKY does to top this. The fact that Larry Ellison didn't move the needle really makes you wonder what will. Just one other thing, guys, really quickly here. Brendan Carr, who is the chair of the FCC, he's going to be speaking tomorrow for whatever reason at CES 2026 at 2 p.m. Now, this could be significant because we know any regulatory pressure could potentially move the needle in the favor of PSKY. I don't know what he's discussing, but if there are any questions here with regards to this situation, keep an eye on these stocks at 2 p.m. tomorrow.
That's the other angle on this, the regulatory side of things, whether or not we can even get this deal through. This stock, Netflix, is in a 32% drawdown off all-time highs. So, I mean, at some point, guys, we've got to find some sort of footing here. One would think maybe it's going to take getting this solidified and finalized to, get some bidders comfortable again.
Yeah, I mean, someone in the chat was like, "Oh, you have a bid in the 80s on Netflix. It's not going to get down there." Man, I don't know. When it was at 120, I didn't think it was going to get to the 90s either. So, sometimes if you think that's the case, you buy once a quarter, or you buy every like 10 or 15% until you got the position that you want, because you think the market's got it a little bit wrong and undervaluing a good company. So, I think that's still a little bit of the case here today. But I do I like the bounce. I mean, it's not a huge bounce. It really isn't a huge bounce. But I do like what's kind of going on here. It accumulated 90, then it accumulated 91, and maybe it's doing a little more accumulation here today. It's never, when a stock finds a buy support zone, it's not necessarily an overly bad thing. And I think that's kind of what's happening. I don't see a trade in Netflix for myself today. just to be real with you, but still looking at, if it gets into the 80s, I am going to buy again. Already bought once. I'm going to look for another one in here, and maybe Brendan's right. Like, we need to see a resolution on this deal before you get a real spike.
Yeah, I'm playing the long game on Netflix. I'm not too price specific about what I'm doing here. I bought the 90s, and so I bought some 96s, I bought some 90s. So we're just going long on a name that, hey, look, man, I mean, Netflix is pretty much in, I'm not gonna say everybody's household. I mean, some people have obviously canceled their subscriptions. And I like the bundling possibilities for Netflix if they can acquire, and it looks like they're going to acquire Warner Brothers. And again, like, you know, you pay all this money for all this content, and that's exactly what they've done. I mean, they are a content company. So I think that whenever they can get pieces like that continue to work, I mean, look at, you know, National Lampoon's, Elf, like some of these things for Christmas time. All these movies keep getting played like every single year. I don't think, you know, I think Sopranos and some of these Harry Potter, Game of Thrones and all that, like these are, although obviously movies have been watched and have been out for decades and whatnot, they're still very, very popular, and they're still big pieces of the pie. So I like that Netflix has acquired this, and I don't know what the cost of making, you know, their own sort of programming goes, but this might not be a bad deal after all. Let's just wait to see how they can package this up with some of the live content as well. I mean, that's really why we started to like Netflix in the first place, was due to the live content. And I think that they've proven that with some of those fights, and then they had the NFL games on Christmas and so on and so forth. But the imbalances are just out right now, and out to relatively nothing special. SMR sell, so some of these high flyers from yesterday, SMR sell, BBAI sell, NVIDIA with a slight buy, giving them a little bit of an uptick right here as well. We have Mobileye still to discuss. I don't see Mobileye on here at all, but I don't know. All these AMs are nothing really. A lot of them are just either small companies or indexes. There's Warner Brothers, so just on topic, you know, not moving anything there again. BMNR, the crypto play, of course, with Ethereum, that's on there as a small sell, but nothing too much. Oh, you guys might want, I just saw DataVolt there, Data Vault. There's Data Vault. And I talked about getting maybe potentially out of some of this at $1.50. I hope some of you had done that. Might be wrong, but for now it looks like it's right. And then CRML, Critical Minerals. Is it minerals or metals? They're up 4.75% there, and they catch a little bit of a bid imbalance as well. So yeah, not much on the locator there to start the day. But again, more robot talk, as that's been sort of part of the theme here, late 25 into early 26. Let's go find out about Mobileye's side of things.
Yeah, big bump here this morning, right back to prior support, I guess it was before it broke. $14 coming into play here for MBLY, $10 2 days ago, picking up Menti Robotics in a $900 million cash and stock deal. So as Sean was mentioning, the theme and the conversation around robotics continues to pick up. Here's another one, MBLY.
They're also a featured presenter here on the show floor at CES 2026. If there are any other updates, I'll certainly keep you guys posted on those. What's interesting, though, here, too, is Mobileye literally had a keynote event last night. No one seemed to care because this acquisition comes out initially reported just after the bell, and this really seems to be what's leading the news here. They also talked here during their press release about strong traction in their AV autonomy and core ADAS technology. Apparently, the company has a current automotive revenue pipeline of $24.5 billion over the next 8 years. That's up more than 40% compared to this time in 2023.
Just if you go to their website, I just pulled up Menti's website. It's a humanoid robot.
Oh my God.
That is already a thing apparently, and you know is fairly dexterous, I guess is the best way to say that. But I guess Mobileye trying to get into a space that you would think is fairly competitive already, but if they're just simply buying a product that's already made and already designed and manufacturing is underway, at least maybe a decent deal. $900 million seems kind of cheap if they already have these things walking around in warehouses, but Menti guys, kind of interesting.
Oh yeah, look, it's interesting for sure. Mobileye's had declining revenues the last quarter, and they just need, they need to put some wins on the table. And I think for a trade today, maybe more interesting to look at. I mean, I'll look at Intel as well because they tend to always get a bump when Mobileye's getting a bump. I just don't love that you've kind of rejected the big resistance at the 200 period that was already, like it happened in October, and we've already wicked that high. You need to press back through that to get exciting. Like there's your fail. It's about 1420 to 1425. So unless we're finding buyers above that, I might want to stay away from this a little bit, just because it's it's just made a 2-day move. Check that, sorry, a 4-day move. I'm only thinking about it from the 50 period, but it's like a 4-session move from 10.5 all the way into the 200 period. It just feels a little crazy. Like let it hold buyers up here and then maybe make a secondary break. Don't want to buy that top, but if Intel can manage to hold on to this 40 level, I just feel like Intel, in a recent move that it had, maybe if it can hold on to the 40, that would be a little more interesting for a run 2 set upside. But my first looks will be on Bitcoin and silver, and we sort of already talked about those two bad boys. ASTS is going to be on my mind for a potential head and shoulders fade setup. The imbalances were pretty light and stayed very light with only about 30 seconds to go here. Literally, BBAI is the biggest meaningful stock on it, and it's nothing.
Yeah, I have. I have SoFi. I have 27.25 or so. So we're sitting right now at 27.15 to see if anything happens with that trade on SoFi. So that's going to be a short early if it does come through, and then we're going to get out of that way if it breaks through like 27.40 or so. IBIT short, looking for that, and then honestly, the market looking for a short. I wrote down if we break 54.50, let's go short and use 55. But we got to do that break first, and we'll play it off of there. Here we go, man. Only 5 seconds left now. We want to thank everybody for watching and remind you, keep those notes in the ticker and we'll be able to discuss them as we go. The Open brought to you by Orgenics. Check out OGen there, symbol OGEN. So it looks like SoFi's already going without me, which is fine. Oh, well, not really. It just went down to 60 cents, and I was like, okay, there it goes. Back up into the 80s now. Let SoFi calm down. Look at the Nasdaq going. Here we go. Greensville right now for Nasdaq. It looks like it wants to get to. Dipped out for Google. That's nice. Into 314. Didn't even notice that. Back up to 316 right now. Austin, 316, Joe. There it goes. Breaking through on Google. You still got to get your stream deck going. Did he just hit it there? There it is. Yeah, the 2-time button there. All right, Nasdaq makes a move higher, now pushing back down a little bit. As you can see, this candle trying to figure itself out right now. Still a little early.
Nasdaq might be going up. AMD just, like, you look at my candle.
Happened?
It's not even filled in, this $4 move to the downside on AMD. And look, it's not even filling in this candle. Looks like it gapped all the way down here. NVIDIA is heading to the downside. Tesla, Tesla just dropped $3.
Okay.
That's insane, because I had my eyeballs on Intel at the open. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Intel's actually not going to get down to 40. It's just going to start bouncing and breaking out higher. So, yeah, market pulling back in on the weakness in Tesla, NVIDIA, AMD. You've got Intel headed to the upside, probably Mobileye as well. We make the assumption Mobileye as well. So lots of volatility. No, Mobileye's not doing anything. Intel's doing its own thing.
I'm going to start a little short. We might not. I mean, I'm just seeing what's happening, as you just mentioned there. So I took a little short here in the TQQs. So we will try the futures play right here, right now. I did want to wait for 54.50, so we're still in that. But now that we have that topic of 55, I think this is worth 20 cents at least to try this, to get into a position right now, and then use 55 as our out. So we'll be watching this pretty carefully there, and then using 54.50 hopefully as a downside area to push a little bit lower. We could put a bid down there near 54.50 just in case it does come in. We'll take out a little piece there. But yeah, this could be a very, very quick trade. And the reason why we go short again, you mentioned Tesla downside. We mentioned NVIDIA broke lower for some reason. You talked about AMD breaking lower. Let's check out what the next big constituent is doing here with Microsoft. We haven't talked about Microsoft in forever. They're flattish on the day as well for Softy. And then one of my favorite names to trade on the regular, Palantir. We can have a check out what they're doing as well. And wow,
IBIT just popped, so I just got short.
Oh, IBIT popped. Okay, that's a trade I'm interested in.
So I'm going to go IBIT a quick second. Micron just went ham. It's almost green. SNDK is almost green as well. The opening candle, remember I told you you're probably in for a crazy $10 candle, so maybe let it settle down. Yeah, rinse the bottom and then rinsing the top here on SNDK. This is absolute and utter nonsense, that stock. Let that one settle a bit here. But I'm looking for, like, VWAP's at 52 on IBIT, so I'm shorting into the volume weighted average price. But I got to be careful. This is a bit of a double bottom from yesterday. Again, I'm throwing out this MSTR aftermarket bounce. That's what I'm calling it, like this move here, aftermarket. I'm pretending like it didn't exist and looking for the fades underneath here on Bitcoin. Yeah, crazy action early on some of the chip names.
Yeah, that's nuts, and we are getting a little bit of a move back here. So we did get up to $55. We're going to give it a breath and then see if it breaks. We're not going to be stubborn. Oh, sorry, here we go. We're not going to be stubborn with this yesterday like we were with SoFi. If this breaks above 55.10, I mean, we can give it to, I don't even really want to give it to that level. I was just going to use 55.10. So if it breaks above 55.10, I'm not super worried about yesterday's levels. Remember, this is an index, so it's not going to remember. This is a triple levered. It's anyways. That's my plan of action here. 54.10, 55.10, sorry, a break on this one. And we're out of the money now 10 cents. So it's this is completely fine. But again, we could be wrong. And it looks like the market is now treating the longs like they are going to be in the right space right now. Just looking to see if anything's hitting, man. Boeing right now.
There was news on Boeing.
Oh, was there? Okay.
Boeing got 100, and for anyone just tuning in, you might have missed it. Alaska Air, gave up everything? Alaska Air with a 110 plane order from Boeing, the largest in the airline's history. Really? It's going to sell off the entire move on Boeing? That's kind of crazy. Okay.
Intel's the one ripping.
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to be the case, but wanted to see
SoFi.
That's insanity that gives up that move. I like Boeing this year. Maybe that provides an opportunity to buy this. You don't want it tanking on good news there. So we're still under VWAP on that bad boy, but man, Tesla, we haven't looked at that yet. That immediately fails 435. It needs to hold this 435 level. Yesterday, when they got the praise from Jensen, it was 435 and no more. And now you got 435 failing. So I want to see buyers above, and then it's a long. But yeah, for now, looking a little bit weak. I did want to fade. Look, when we sat down, silver was a lot higher than it is now. So you're going to need it to maybe come back in here. I want to play this one for the trend down. So at least up until it gets to about 70.5 into yesterday's lows, I got to wait this one out a little bit. So we're just into IBIT, still tracking for everybody here. I know a lot of people are going to be looking at Micron and SanDisk. I don't necessarily intend on trying to short this or either one of them until I see something very, very distinct. Micron just went green for a brief second and just popped about $8. SNDK doing something very, very similar.
Okay. Yeah, SoFi does go up, and so we got. I mean, the TQs, it's fine. No, it's never fine to lose, but we tried it there early, and I'd already made a note that we want to try to get involved more as this market is developed rather than developing. So what I mean by that is like, that's a good move to begin with. You can't be like, oh man, I'm not short there. That was in the first 3 minutes. Anything can happen. And then in the next 3 minutes after that, you make a move back to the high side. So you got to let the market sort of figure itself out. And maybe it does give us some sort of a trade there. Wow. Siren's up, man. I know this is one of Joe's picks that he really liked. Google's back to 318. Like I just had this man hit the 316 alarm there. This was the only long that I had on the board today. So a pullback here in Google would be real nice. But right now it is gone there. Positive talks from JP Morgan on the TPU space and on what those guys are all about. We do have a super chat. You can throw it on at any time there. Thank you. There it is. So there it is. Any chance you guys can talk about silver rebalancing this week? I'd have to look up exactly what sort of a rebalance is happening in silver, but right now it's down 5%, and maybe just the start of the year, you're talking about positioning. I don't know if there is a big silver rebalance happening in what exactly that is referencing, but right now silver,
I think that's a good question for Raheem.
Too late for that.
I know that's.
He might not know either. I don't know what the silver rebalancing is.
Not an expert on metals. We just trade them. Like we'll have. I'll admit we'll have knowledge in things that we own a lot of times long term, but mechanics of commodities, not our cup of tea. It's not that I don't care or anything like that. It's just when you're usually trading momentum. But that's a good thing to crowdsource. That's what our chat is about. We have a great community in there. Trust me. Somebody listening right now is going to be able to answer that super chat. I guarantee you. And when you don't know something, you should always ask and always be able to say that you don't know yet. This market is. Okay, I'm just going to quickly show the overnight on the Nasdaq. Right into overnight highs and pulling back, right into VWAP on IBIT and pulling back. But I still have to, this is a heavy, heavy reversal candle on IBIT yesterday. So it really needs to show some follow through. So I'm scalping out into the belly of that beast. As it was the first move up, but I gotta pull down the charts that I'm seeing, the 4 stocks I'm watching. That's silver heading back lower. I've already shown you IBIT. This is NVIDIA heading back lower. And then I have Tesla up and Tesla lower highs.
Yeah.
So like I have this like weird perspective. Like the stuff that I'm watching is all still relatively weak compared to the market breaking out. So I want to make sure that I'm not getting clouded by the 4 charts that I happen to be paying the most attention to. The market is grinding higher.
Yeah, right. So silver's still dancing around here. Tesla, we can have a quick look. I see there's some people in the chat looking at Tesla right there, bouncing off that 430. Looks like a good low. We made that yesterday, and we got into 431 today, and then a nice bounce right up to the 200 period. We've hit that 200 period now a couple times in and around that 430, 450, which was also pre-market lows. So looking to see if that can break out a little bit, break out of these lows right now and get back into that high top of 436. And that's actually not a horrible situation to break out from right there, 436. If it does get going, we're incoming on Tesla right now. You would have some support there. Yeah, I know. Eli Lilly was moving a bit. I did want to show. So there
for that Novo Nordisk dip.
There is another play here. I'm thinking 209 on AMD, which is where sort of VWAP is here to start the short in and around 209 on AMD. So if that comes into 209, we'll short that into 209.50. And if we break out outside of 209.50, then we can get out of there. AMD not looking great, man. The market is upside. AMD just got clapped down 3%. So be careful with that one. And Broadcom, that's had a pretty good push down from its 420 or so top as well. That's down another 1% today. It was Intel's day today. So right now, NVIDIA's up. So maybe AMD does get going. We will still short that, but maybe it does get going. And then INTC, that was going, and still undisputed champion of the chip names today is Intel, man.
Well, I'm sure at some point Micron and SNDK are going to have some.
Oh yeah, well, those aren't chip names, but yeah, for Intel right now, they are Rip City. Watch out for 42, man. I mean, this could be. We've been up here before, and it didn't spend many days. Actually, I think it only closed 2 days above this $42 mark. So you're coming up into that right now, and I don't know, what was the story about Intel again?
Well, I mean,
kind of caught going off Mobileye. Yeah, Mobileye. But didn't they divest from Mobileye?
Well,
so I don't.
Intel had news at CES earlier in the week, but
I mean, it's not stopping.
It's going crazy.
Like we just looked at this thing at 41.75. Now it's 42.20s just hit. So I don't know. Let's watch out for it. There's Adara. What's up?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not seeing anything specific here on INTC, but it could just be CES excitement. And again, the Mobileye connection, because they are, I think, at the very least, still associated with Mobileye, certainly in name. I don't have any news on it, though.
Yeah, I mean.
And here's the thing, there doesn't need to be a catalyst sometimes. That's just how it is. Like you could be going technically off something that happened a couple of days ago, but at some point, even as I was saying, like everything I was looking at was still holding out. At some point, that can change. So I was able to thankfully, get something out here at 51.9 on IBIT, but we just broke the top. Now I got to sit back and wait because our original level was all the way back here. So we're going to try to short it when it was on trend, but now I have to wait for like 52.5 on IBIT as it's absolutely flying. Tesla just broke. Forget about holding 435, that area, and finding buyers above. It just put in a $3 candle breaking it. So that was a little bit heavy, but that does mean that we have buyers above yesterday's, we'll call it the Jensen thumbs up resistance. We'll be at 435. So this comes back in. If it can hold 435 on the dip, I will like the long on Tesla. Didn't like much of anything, and even this was underneath the price that we wanted to try to see the breakout. So we'll try to buy the dip there. Wait for IBIT to get to a higher low. Wait for silver to get to VWAP to try to fade that one. It's not even close yet. Silver is still a good like $0.50 away from VWAP. Just hasn't gotten there for the short. Somehow with this market ripping, it hasn't gotten there.
All right, just a couple of small losers so far there. We had TQs, we had IBIT, but I'm back into SoFi. This is first, so here it goes, hit the sign up here. My second trade right now. I like SoFi. It came back up into 27. I mean, I love the stock. I mean, it's a long-term hold. I already talked about that. I like it for 2026. It will be one of my picks. But yesterday was down it was down 10% at the lows and managed to be back only down about 8%, I think, 7 in a bit. And then it just kind of came off of that 27. This is the level that I wrote down to get short. But in this move down and then right back up into this 27 area, I'm going to stop out if it breaks 27 and then just worry about it after that. So right now we're short at 87. I'm bidding 72s. Just that's kind of what this bottom looks like right there. So if we can get out, I'm bidding 15%. We're still not filled. We're sitting right here. Hopefully we can get filled on the, come on, don't tell me it's going to go to 73 and stop. We're bidding 72s. There it is. And then we're also bidding 63s. So that would be in and around that low right there. And then if we can crack even lower, then okay, we've got you SoFi. So we hit a little bit of a short there on SoFi. So I definitely liking that kind of a trade. And we almost, I told you where we were sitting on AMD, and this is just the life again. We were sitting at 209, and you know, zoom in. Do you know where that got to right there? That got to 208.50. So we were a little light on our offer there. Should have been a little bit lower on that, but we'll still wait for 209. I mean, here coming right back in again. So AMD shorting this 209 or so area with VWAP sort of protecting. That's going to be a trade for me. And then we go short on SoFi, and then the only one that lost, well, 1 for 2 is this trade right here on the TQs breaking through the pre-market sort of high there. And it's a good thing we were able to get out of that stock because it is moving higher right now. As the Nasdaq doesn't want to, it's only up 0.1, but it does feel like it's almost a little higher than that to me. I don't know.
It's how volatile some of these names were off the open that makes it seem like it moved a bit more than we did. So the first 15-minute candle is in 10 seconds on ASTS, and it will be kind of confirming that head and shoulders for now, but that's about as noisy as it gets. $3 down, $3 up off this like 90.5 area, but it looks like it's going to close in the red as a rejection of that high break at 92. But I want to see it maybe give us a bit of a curl before we get in off of this lower high. Silver is getting close, almost there into that volume weighted average price. So I am still looking for the entry on that bad boy, and I don't mind getting a re-entry into IBIT. It just rejected the pre-market high. So still looking at pretty much the same names that are all looking, yeah, they're all still underneath the highs, at least what I'm watching here. So as long as the market doesn't go absolutely parabolic, then I think some of the weaker names can still be in play. But the rising tide eventually can lift all ships. Like, we haven't looked at some of the, here's the big cap tech names, right? We're not looking at them. Amazon, red to green, and in a big way. Absolutely. You've got Apple. Oh, never mind. Apple kind of gave up the gains early. I know that it broke out early, but now it's underneath VWAP, so maybe that could portend a little bit of weakness. Kind of a big maybe, though, for Apple. But Amazon looking strong, the market looking strong. I think we're getting at a bit of a tipping point, though, where it's like a put up or shut up. If you can't break that overnight high, this is where the timing-wise, at least you want to get some reversions.
All right, man. SoFi hit our levels, so we're out of 40%. That came into 70s, we got that. It came into 63, we got that. We took another 65 fill right there. So, you know, again, still could be a problem for us, but so far so good there on SoFi. And yeah, just kind of waiting to see, maybe there could be a pullback here on Google. But that 321, like what a huge move right there, creating this market to absolutely bump right now. We can have a quick little look to see if there's anything else going on. I mean, we have BBAI making moves today, NVIDIA. Yeah, just super chat's all good. Eli Lilly, 4% there as well. JP Morgan down 1.77%. All right, check out Q options. Okay, CS is good to make some money. Crazy volatility on the daily. Weekly is the way to go, in my opinion. Check my game. So what's up to MDRN? Game developer looking for the shorts. We are already short on the Nasdaq there today. We can get Joe if he wants to look at some Qs options for us. He's sitting right there. Maybe I'll employ him to have a look on those weeklies if you want on the TQQs. Join Joe on the midday to talk more about options, but he can flow through. Joe, Yeah, he's looking at it right now. So he's giving me the thumbs up right over there as he's watching Stone Cold Steve Austin highlights. No, he's not. So there goes 322, man. Google is just, honestly, man, this is not stopping. Straight to the upside there on. The only thing that I wrote down today was that we liked the long, and we put down 310. Of course, that's when the stock, here's 8 o'clock, man. We were at 313 not too long ago. Now 322, $9, man, straight there to the upside. Will the Nasdaq ever slow down? I mean, we learned our lesson yesterday, not trying to average into all these plays, but the Nasdaq just continues to climb higher and higher, and we're not even really near any areas that I would think about shorting. I mean, you're into this spot right now. That's just been pretty clumped up. I think you got to get to like 55.60, 55.80, and I'm not even sure we want to do that right now. The Nasdaq here on day 4 at Santa Claus Rally, we think is officially ended, but don't tell that to the market as we continue to go upside on the ES and the Nasdaq to start the day.
And if you are a savvy Canadian trader and you want to amplify the moves like the one this morning to the upside in the markets, have a check and a look at Beta Pro by Globex. Their 3x daily leverage ETF, so you can tap into the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. They've got built-in FX hedging, so you can amplify short-term market moves and you can minimize those currency swings. So look, whether you're bullish or bearish, they're built for active traders ready to take on the markets. Check out the full risk disclosure in the prospectus at betapro.ca before investing. Scan the QR code in front of you. Check the link in the description as well. Shout out to Beta Pro by Globex. And we were just sort of talking about like the move in the market, seeming like it's bigger than it was. Well, it would be 3x that if you're looking at a leveraged ETF. It's only Nasdaq's up 0.17. It just seems like a heck of a lot more than that. So ASTS, or some traders like to call it ASTS, pulling back after a false breakout of 92, and then now right at VWAP, it's starting to hold. So I kind of like this 89 area. You go back a couple of sessions. If we can start holding that range, look for some lower highs to start coming in. I do see, okay, silver's just rejected VWAP. I'm going to get my order out over there and maybe go to that in a quick little second. Oh, it's on the Amex. If you're at Real Trading, you should have your NASDAQ, New York, and Amex all the same keys. I have this like old habit where like my ARC is different on Amex than it is at NASDAQ, and then I'll hit like the wrong thing. But it doesn't matter. So I'm looking for that one to give me about a 70. I'm probably not going to get filled. I'm sitting at 70.20. I'm just going to cancel that. But ASTS starting to come back down in through VWAP. Going to look for 89 first. If we close under VWAP, then I think this can be a bit of an add. But what I'm talking about with silver, I was just sitting here in the 20s. It looks like that's probably not going to fill. I might move it down just a hair into the 10s and then the teens and see if we can pop into this fade here on SLV. Yeah, so not much is looking weak, but there are some names that are trending down at least with this strong market.
I thought I had I did not have where's my AMD short? I thought I had that there, but I did not, I guess so. All right, oh, that sucks. All right, I have a new position. It's SMCI. We're going to short it against 30. It looks like it may go to the upside right there. 33, I guess, is view up. I don't know what happened. I thought I was offering AMD. I must have canceled it. That sucks, but, oh, man, too bad. All right, well, there's AMD, so it does not come in at all for me there. It does come upside, but we should have been short right there on advanced micro. I'll start it right now at 70s if we can get it, but damn it. I was right there at 209, and I don't know. I must have canceled it. I was talking about shorting that off VWAP right there, so we should already be short. Okay, well, now we are. That high is 209. I was going to give it to 209.25, so all right, that sucks, man. Shit, we should be. All right, hopefully we get some more shares of that coming through at some point. Darn it, man. Okay, because it was a decent-sized position that we were looking for there. All right, so SMCI, this is the new position. We had, again, underneath VWAP right now, trying to see about a little bit of a move here in SMCI. Yesterday we had this written down as a short, $30.34. That's the break of VWAP right there. So we'll get out if it does break that. Trying to go short. It looks like we might get our AMD shares after all as it goes back into the 80s and 90s. I'm waiting at 97, and they're only going to give this 30-40 cents, right? We talked about that up into the quarters. So if we break through VWAP, then we'll get out. That's the reason why we're short this name, is just that the market has made a huge move to the upside. Okay, there it is. Now we're short. Let's just check in on its friend there, NVIDIA. Okay, well, there's the pullback for me, so maybe we should take a little bit of advantage of that and bid some 75s. Okay, so now we're short here on advanced micro devices. We took a little bit out there at 75. That's the one-to-one. that we're talking about. So I take out a quarter there on 1-to-1, and now let's see if we can drip downside here on Advanced Micro Devices after just touching out on VWAP. So let's give it a second and give it a couple breaths. Down here, the spread is very violent on this name. So we'll put another bid in the 50s. Maybe it swoops down and grabs us, but or it swoops up and punches us out, which it looks like it might want to do right there. So we'll hold on to this short for now. SoFi is the one that's printing for us. At least that was that today. Back-to-back days, we had SoFi on the list. Today, the short actually printing for us. So we'll see what happens here with SoFi.
Yeah, well, ASTS caught a bid just same way the market just did. Just now. I was able to it got right down to the body of the opening candles at 89.5. So it went 90.5 to 89.5, maybe a tad more than that from VWAP, but now you're starting to look like that was a hefty bid, and now your higher lows are being put in. So I'll wait to see this one maybe get back into the highs, retest the top, and look for another opportunity in there. Silver is doing pretty much the same thing. I'm going to get to Tesla in a second. I know a lot of people are looking at Tesla, MSTR, all those bad boys. Silver is still holding underneath VWAP. If it breaks it, I'm jumping out of the short. It's not even moving that much. Like most of the move in silver was the 2 hours in the pre-market, to be honest with you. Tesla pulls right back, and there was no buyer. There were no buyers at VWAP. None. Blast right through and continuing to head lower. So you don't have to sit on the bid just because I want it to hold 435 doesn't mean I'm just going to sit there when it goes through. So unfortunately, Tesla does not sustain this breakout yet and coming back heavily. It's just so weird looking at stocks like this come back in like that, and then Nasdaq's breaking higher. Like, go figure.
Nasdaq is upsetting.
Nasdaq is absolutely flying, and I don't wonder, like Micron's not flying around here. I'm going to guess it'll be something like an Amazon. Amazon's strong, but not really pressing the highs anymore. What is so strong today? You guys let me know. What's a lot of the stocks I'm watching, or I'm tracking this morning, are not as strong as it seems the market's trying to be.
No, we were, so we were lucky. I mean, lucky, I don't know. We talked about putting a bid down there, and so it comes through for us right there. 56s comes through on AMD. So we actually crack a dollar. We crack 50 cents on that, which is double what our risk is. So if it comes back in, I'll take another fill down there at 50. I'm bidding 56 again. So hopefully that will come in, and we'll be able to grab that one more time there on Advanced Micro Devices. SMCI does break through VWAP. So that's not doing too much right there. We do have JOLTS job openings coming up at 10 o'clock. There's our subscribe number, man. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, but more importantly, hit the subscribe.
22.
That way you can get in touch with us. We have a lot of things coming up, man. A lot of new ideas coming. Make sure you do hit that subscribe so you're in tune with what we're doing, and tell YouTube that you found the best place. So hit subscribe and the like, and hit everything. That's a positive action there for us on YouTube, but we would like to get those subscriptions going up to that 550,000 mark. That'd be kind of cool if we were able to do that. All right, so yeah, just an up and down morning so far. And it looks like we are about to get stopped out of NVIDIA right now, just pennies away, of AMD, 209.20, there it is, 209.25 break. And we'll slap a fail on it, but because we're able to get something out, we only got out about 20% of that trade, so we will wind up losing the 25, or I think we got 31s or so out there, so 31s there, so a little bit of slippage on that break, but a little bit of a loser there again for Advanced Micro Devices. So I don't know how many winners you have on board right over there, but
because silver just came in.
Yeah, same, and I only have SoFi.
Oh, Joe just posted that options chain, but for some reason the quality is really bad when I tried to.
Well, we can go over to
Joe if you want. Maybe. Oh shoot, he's not sitting there. Okay, I'll it's fine. I turned over and thought Joe was sitting there, but he's not. No, VWAP just got busted out on silver. That's what I was just about to mention. So it's really just been ASTS, ASTS Space Mobile, that's worked out. And it's even incredibly whippy. Like the spread is 25 pennies on this, and really just got this inside move. I think I'm going to wait for a little bit more clarity on the 15-minute candle for a second shot in this. I can't really make the whatever. I'll have to wait till Joe sets back in, because every time I try to pull up that options chain that you guys wanted to see, you wouldn't be able to read it. The quality is even terrible on my screen. So look, the next thing I trade, it's either going to be back to ASTS, silver, IBIT, or potentially Intel here. I don't see Tesla catching too much of a bid despite its strength, but Intel got through that 42 high from yesterday and is absolutely flying. It's doing so without Mobileye. I guess it's doing it on its own. And there's still some room to that 52-week high that just got made in December. I had to catch myself because I almost said all-time high, which would be a joke. No, it's nowhere near the all-time high on Intel. Just pull up a monthly chart, you'll be able to see it. So we're going to look to see if it can hold on to the trend. I'm not going to do it. Anybody probably knows. I'm going to see if it can hold on to the trend. It's a little bit too parabolic to try to catch like some kind of a trend line pullback. So I'll look back at like either 42 even or the volume weighted average price. IBIT is still, like Bitcoin was shorting it underneath VWAP. I've been now waiting for it to get to the high or to my 52.5 that we were trying to grab. It's not strong enough to get to that high, but it is starting to set a trend. So now I have at least something to work off of. There's a very pretty clean trend on the 3-minute, which is forming. So if it breaks that, I can short. Otherwise, I wait for it to test one of those highs and be patient about it. And shout out to everyone mentioning a few small cappers in the chat. Lucy, which is the eyewear maker. Which one? Shoot. It's Innovative Eyewear. That's the one. Right, so Lucy, they are up today, but it just rejected $2. Bit of a choppy trade, but you can get 10% off VWAP over and over again. Good volume, about to cross the 100 million share mark. So I'm sure a lot of people are looking at some of these small cappers. We will be able to tell you what's happening with them. Not really looking to trade them per se. I'm just looking up at silver and IBIT.
Look at AM.
IBIT's about to break that trend.
Yeah.
Is it still weak, AMD?
No, well, I got stopped. Yeah, I mean, it turned out to be weak. I mean, we just got stopped out, and then, of course, it goes right back into 60s again. So that's okay, though. Like I said, if you're wrong on this thing, you can't just keep this thing going upside the whole time. But we do have a new position. We flipped it over back into the futures right now. So we'll see what this number comes out. But we're starting to get a little bit out now using that top wick. We have a number coming out. So let's go over to Adara.
JOLTS.
And that could give this market, as we just said, a little bit of a jolt there. So we'll bid a little bit more here at 30, see if we can get that fill, and then we're down to 21s. And then if this number is horrible, maybe we can get VWAP eventually in and around 55 or so there for that number. We're out if it breaks through the top. Oh man, I don't really like to be in this position heading into a number, but let's go over to Adara and we'll figure out what that is as we get lighter. Look at the volume dry up over here. All right, Adara, go.
We actually have multiple numbers here. Of course, the biggest is JOLTS job openings forecast 7.647 million, previous 7.67 million. ISM services PMI and factory orders also coming out here. JOLTS job openings lower than expected, guys. 7.146 million, well below that forecast of 7.647 million. Factory orders month over month just a tad lower than expected, negative 1.3% versus negative 1.2% expected. ISM services PMI actually higher than expected, so 54.4 versus 52.2. So again, to recap here, ISM services PMI higher than expected, but JOLTS job openings well below estimates and factory orders a little bit below what we were expecting. The market responding in kind, dropping here a little bit from these highs, intraday highs anyhow, on these numbers. Let's talk here about some of these catalysts we have on watch. Chevron not really reacting at all to this, but we know these oil names are in play as we do get some indications from U.S. President Trump and his administration that they're going to be trying to get this Venezuelan oil over to the U.S. And CNBC reporting actually it could be more than that 50 million barrel number that Trump mentioned. Also, Financial Times reporting that Chevron and Quantum Capital Group are considering a $22 billion bid worth of Lukoil assets. So not the entire company, but $22 billion worth of their assets. And then we have Eli Lilly, which is just continuing to push to new all-time highs, just broke the new all-time high, I believe. We do have an updated report from the Wall Street Journal suggesting that Eli Lilly's deal for Ventyx could value the company at $14 a share. So Eli Lilly clearly liking this news. Again, nice push upside for Eli Lilly. Volume on this, not bad either. Before we send you back to Sean and Neil, we're going to take a moment to thank our friends at Oragenics because there are millions of concussions, but zero approved therapies. Oragenics, trading on the NYSE's OGEN, is advancing a new standard with its intranasal brain-first approach to concussion treatment. With an $8.9 billion market on the horizon, Oragenics is positioned to drive what comes next. So see what's ahead and book a meeting today. Thank you to Oragenics, and do make sure to like and subscribe because thank you all for watching here. We're going to send you back over to Neil and Sean.
All right. As the market continues to fall down, we can't hate anything right now. SoFi, nice move to the downside, so that's a pretty clean trade right there. AMD can go to hell, of course, as that's right back down. But then this one is a big time win right now here for your boy. As there goes the futures one more time back to the downside. As although despite being pretty green on the day here, the Nasdaq now falling back in. And I just said, like, if we can come back, and it's just funny because just as you come back, it fills VWAP right there, and that was the trade that we were looking for in the futures. So we're out of half right now. Let's see if we can continue that downside push now, and maybe we have a little bit of a bigger trade on our hands, and we're gonna look for 54.90 or so right now on the TQs. But yeah, so far so good there. And then obviously SoFi, I still have 40% of this one as well. I was waiting actually at 40 for this, but a bounce off of 50 maybe gets me excited to get a little bit more out on that downside over there. So like we had said, despite me being, we'll actually be up on the TQs now on the day. And again, I still have half, so position pending on this one. But that just goes to show you, man, if you stick with sometimes the thought there, we got a little lucky with those numbers. I mean, they could have gone the other way, but there's the top take. So with, again, very small risk, right? I mean, we put on this one 11 cents worth of risk to now be in the money 35 cents. So far, so good on this trade, and SoFi starting to kick downside a little bit here. Let's put a bid at 50.
Yeah, the markets definitely gave it up, but we're only up like 0.1%, so I don't think it was anything definitive to the upside. Just maybe had to wait for. I was looking for a trend break. The trend break happened as the number came out. So assist to the 10 o'clock numbers. But when we finally had the trend to work off with IBIT, it was just a cleaner entry. We're at the low of the day. Gonna hold through the low at this point to look to see if we start to fill in some of this gap. My target, I can put on the notes, like 51, this line on my chart's at 51.4, but 51.5 is kind of the target down here that I'm looking for. So if we get that 1% change move, then I'm going to jump out of this trade and look for the next opportunity here in IBIT. So that was relatively clean on that open, able to get back into it. Like obviously silver didn't work out. ASTS is still a little bit chop fest for me, but it did give a secondary move. But some of these tops, like the spread opens up pretty decently when it gets into VWAP, so it's a little bit tricky to try to get in, but it's now starting to calm down. I'll look to re-enter this on trend to short lower highs. We're able to scalp it one time, and we'll try it again. But right now, I'm just going to hold on to IBIT. I see people asking, what's the meta news? Meta down 2%. None that Adara?
Yeah, so I believe it was Financial Times reporting that apparently China's investigating Meta's attempt to acquire that Manus AI. That's that $2 billion acquisition, more or less. That's what it was reported at. Apparently, China not liking this acquisition.
Okay, so challenging that acquisition. That was early this morning. Yeah, so look, thanks a lot, Adara, because Meta is absolutely churning to the downside. And this is right on some pretty decent support here, the 50 period in 647. That's why you probably saw my genuine reaction to pulling up this chart, because I didn't really think we'd be down here this quickly with the market basically still flat, and you're going to be down 2% there on Meta. Yeah, so not looking very good, but you know what? There are some things which are bucking the trend. I just looked over NVIDIA. This is actually breaking out as the market pulls back, so I'd watch out for at least this chip name to maybe show you some signs of life. That said, I didn't put this on the note today because I didn't think we'd get into 192, but 92 to 93, just look at the last 3 sessions in a row. Maybe today is the day, but like that feels like that level's a short until it isn't. And then other chip names, so Intel's now up 8%. If you've been waiting for some kind of a dip or a pullback, that first one off 42 that didn't make it to VWAP, that was it. That was your chance. It's gone absolutely parabolic. There's almost nothing moving the way that Intel is at this particular point. It's going absolutely ham as the market pulls back in. But the market's probably following like Meta weakness, some of the big cap weakness. Intel's been bucking the trend whenever that what it wants to. Netflix giving up some gains as well. So this is looking a little bit disappointing. If everyone says you can't see 80s or you won't see 80s on Netflix, I don't know. I just know that if it gets underneath 90, I'm going to be looking to buy again. So for myself here, going to look for a re-entry in silver. It wicked VWAP. This also is starting to form something a little bit more distinct. The same way patience on IBIT for the second time I wanted to play it. I'll do the same thing for silver. Instead of shorting into the VWAP, I'll wait for a retest of the high, maybe get some lower highs, or we get a trend break, and I'll jump into the trend break, and that can be a little bit more clean. Army Callan in the chat says, what about Apple? This thing has been a dog. This is what about Apple. Since it lost that accumulation at the 50 period, dog, and today looking like another one here. I hate to say it because Apple is a good company and probably going to be worth a fantastic dip buy at some point, but this resembles that Tesla 500 rejection, and then it just kind of slides down for a couple of days. Not nearly as volatile as Tesla, but it hasn't been going well for Apple in quite a while. So market coming back in. You saw what's happening to Meta. NVIDIA, though. NVIDIA and Intel, two stocks that do not care what is happening in the market as they continue to blast higher.
Yeah, and we're getting a complete move back right now on the futures. So, yeah, like we said, a good cover. Sorry, that's SoFi still. A good cover down there at VWAP, and that was what we were looking for. So, you know, let's still be patient with this. I don't think we want to reload this yet. We want to make sure that we are going to have the right trade, and maybe we will. Palantir does have a nice move back in as well, and I was just talking with Obi over there, and he was obviously indicating something about Google, you know, making a huge move to the top end, and then watching out for this 322, which double touched twice, right there to the upside of 322.30. So Google on one today. That's a big mover for sure. We'll wait to let this market settle down just a little bit there. Netflix gave it all back right there. So Netflix, what is AMD doing? Okay, good. Whoa. Remember I was like, oh man, AMD went that dollar for us? Yeah, well now AMD, she be flying north side right now, goes AMD, and great outs on SoFi. That's right back into 50 again, so we could watch out for that. But yeah, the Nasdaq is what's moving around, and Neil already looked at Eli Lilly before today, close to all-time highs again, or maybe we just did take them out, I'm not sure of that, but there goes Eli Lilly. You can't keep this stock down for long, man. They tried for about 1 day.
That Novo dip I thought was going to be better than a one-day dip.
Yeah, and nothing, right back up there to 1120 right now, $1,120. Looks to be in and around that all-time high. So congratulations, anybody that was able to buy that dip, as Neil just mentioned there again as well. So SoFi 2640 waiting for that. Tesla, you know, it wasn't too long ago. It was actually about 10 minutes ago, where we said this 200 period has now held for Tesla. So it held great right there, and then it broke, and see you later. This is why you want to watch this name at least after the first 10 minutes. There's the move back in. There's the retest down. There's the retest down. So now we can start using VWAP or the 200 period or any of these lines, basically in and around 435 as a potential short zone now for Tesla. Despite the market movement right here, looks like we just want to go higher now. I am getting a little nervous about this short, which is why I'm not adding into it. NVIDIA's popped up 2%, man. We know that this is the dog that wags the tail. That is for sure. NVIDIA, Apple, although you looked at it earlier and it was red, I think, but now it's still weak. Okay, so if Apple gets going, then you got to watch out for this market. But right now, it is like an AMD, a Palantir, a NVIDIA kind of loving day right now. So yeah, glue also, man. Okay, good. Joe's ready. We did have a super chat there, and maybe I can even find that. Let me just find that super chat real quick, just to show you guys, you know, the kind of work that we are willing to do for you here. So here it is right here, Joe. So the question comes up right now. Can you check out the Q's options? Looking at CES this week. So Joe, what do you got to talk about here to MDRN Game Dev?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? So he wanted to look at the Q's options chain here that expired this Friday. And what I see here is some relatively cool price action, I guess, or options activity, I guess I should say. There's nothing outstanding until you head up into that 635 strike price, is where you're going to run into a supply zone. Everything else is relatively modest here, guys, and not too much activity. You can see the volume is relatively cool on the January 9th expiration cycle. And as for the open interest, you can see until we go up into 635 once again, we don't really have any double-digit OI. So not too much from an activity standpoint. If we head over to the put side, same thing, relatively cool. They will be a little bit more expensive. But one thing to note is that the at-the-money IV is sitting around 17%. I mean, we can go over to the SPY earlier in the week, and when we're in uptrends, we can catch that around 9 or 10%. So somewhat of an uptick in the IV, but as for the activity itself, I don't see anything outstanding on that expiration cycle. We can go over today and see that start to increase. Again, no double-digit open interest, but where you get the volume really starting to pick up here is around that 626 strike, and then also around that 625 strike without around 101,000 open and closed contracts so far today. So yeah, nothing cool or nothing outstanding really considering, but maybe some levels to keep an eye out on here.
That's what we call them, Joey options.
There we go. Thank you,
We got another one from Control Alt Escape. Missed you fellas over my extended holiday. Hey, welcome back for sure. How are we liking these levels for a buy in Hood?
Ooh,
the hooded
okay,
one.
Okay.
Well, it's stronger than SoFi. I'll give it that much, relatively speaking. Okay, let's just quickly pull up the daily chart. I'm inclined at this point to usually like the weeklies and monthlies, but essentially what Robinhood has been doing, and I don't like these for, like I like these wedges for breaks as opposed to ever wanting to be inside of it. Because the way I always see it is like, I'm agnostic to which direction it goes when that pattern's happening. I just want to be a follower. Like, so breaking out would be more interesting to me on Robinhood next than trying to just assume that buy it off the bottom and play it into the top. Well, that's good early in the move. Late in the move, you can just have tight risk and then reverses down. Maybe wait, if it breaks that, then wait for like $100 would be my 2 cents. Still in that little wedge pattern. Shout out to my favorite, one of the most underrated characters in Star Wars, Wedge.
I have no idea who that is, so must be underrated.
That's the whole point.
Right.
Is he survived like he's like everyone got beaten up and like Luke destroys the Death Star. Hey man, Wedge didn't get killed.
Then you gotta like Wedge then.
And dude lived. Everyone else got eaten alive, and it was just Luke standing except for Wedge. Anyway.
Oh man. All right, so good little look there.
In here, by the way.
Yeah, it's always pretty cold up in this place. It's not even cold outside here today.
It's above zero.
Yeah, it's very warm actually. Yeah, it's 2 degrees right now. So, okay, yeah, just more cover on SoFi. Like we were bidding 40s, of course. It goes to 44, does not fill. So we'll bid some 55s there. I'm also now bidding some 51s. We'll still stick with that 40 fill and see if we can get it. I'm getting a little bit like, I don't know. You know, you get these feelings like you obviously when you get into a position, you want your position to go for you almost immediately. That's what happened right here. You know, and we were able to cover it on the futures trade. And right now, it's just like it's hovering near the highs and not breaking. It's doing the same thing with this is not a wedge. This is just more of a channel right now. And it's trying to break one way or the other. So I'm bidding right now 25s, hoping that if we do come in and look at this low, we can get a fill there at the low, which would be a fine. We're only trying 10% of our order right there. I might even put it higher if we don't get there right now, because here comes 27, 26s. Okay, we just need 2 more pennies, 1 more. And then we'll get that low. Come on. There it is. Okay, so good. So we get the 25 fill right there. And yeah, that's what we're talking about. So a little piece out. We'll wait for a little bit of a dip. Obviously, we're going to be bidding VWAP one more time again. And maybe we do get, finally, a move to the downside. SoFi's joining this move as well. And we'll see if the Nasdaq wants to get going. 55.10. Let's put another order for another 25%. Or sorry, keep saying 25%. Another 10% down there. And we'll see, because it's at 55.25. That's why I say that. But we'll see if it gets lower right now. I like that short. And, you know, you guys have indicated we have this cool thing that Fabian has built up. And I actually have to, here it is right here, find it. It is your stock realizer, I think we call it, visualizer, that's what it was. And it's going to give you an idea of what names you guys are looking at. So Neil's already sort of looked at Lucy there. You can vote by pushing $sign and then into the chat, and you have to be a subscriber, so put $sign something, and we'll be able to cover it. So Oklo, they're a nice bounce off, $65. That was your 200 period moving average, like Oklo today, up 2.4%. We looked at SMR yesterday. Get down, TQQs. Data Vault there, good name, but I told you yesterday and a couple days ago, get out at 150. It's at 120 right now. SMR was a short yesterday through 20, but today it looks like it wants to keep kicking as well. SoFi, we're short that name. That's been my biggest trade of the day. Hopefully the futures can join that as well. Surprised that NVIDIA is up to 191. I think that that was 188 earlier on in the day. Palantir continues to work. Silver getting dumped off right now, down 6% for SLV. We do not like that move today, as gold following, as well as oil making downside plays there. So that's kind of like the names that you guys want us to look at, and so we'll cover a little bit of those. And then the current trading that I'm doing right now involves the futures. So we're going to bid. I just took a 17 or 18 fill right there. I'm still bidding 11. See if we can get that nice downside push here in the Nasdaq. But the market's still behaving nice. There it is. Yes, behaving nicely today for us, as the Nasdaq coming back in just a little bit more chill trading as we sort of got our plan of action. And the short in IBIT, I think we've been talking about that pretty much all day.
Guess what hit 52-week highs just now?
LLY.
Intel. Well, yeah. Eli Lilly's having a fantastic day. I'm going to get there in a quick second. I'm still, excuse me, I'm still targeting 51.5 on IBIT. That's that support level. But my goodness, I don't think anybody saw this one. And if you did, congratulations. I know I didn't. I didn't even have Intel on the list this morning, which is...
We went to Adara for a story earlier, and I can't even remember what it was.
Mobileye.
$44.
The only story was the Mobileye story. Mobileye making the acquisition. This is insanity. It's at the 52-week high, which is, okay, it's close. My bad. It's 44, but whatever, within 1% now. So it's more or less at the 52-week high is a better way to say it. You're 30 cents away from retesting that. This has gone absolutely, you know what, parabolic. If it fails that top, I think it's worth a reversion shot. Let it set up on that higher time frame. But I'm pretty close. We're in the zone now. Let me just go to a higher time frame. We're in the zone now where the pullback into this prior high on IBIT, you're also corresponding with the day low. You're in this zone where if it does a turn, I want to trail out, re-short it at VWAP. So I'm going to put a trailing stop in any second now on IBIT and then look for the next opportunity. I'm still trying to let it get to 51.5, but I don't want it coming back through this, yesterday's low, which is about 51.75. So I'm going to move my stop from VWAP, and we're about to get filled anyway, so the trailing stop probably doesn't even matter. One super chat from Douglas Carlson. What does a $4 sub offer mean to holders of AMPG? Sub offer? You mean an offering? I'm not sure, to be honest, I'm not sure what that means. Like, the stock's under $4, so you can't mean like the offer. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that one on APM.
Did they receive an offer? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
so
did they receive an offer? Is it an offering you're talking about? I'm not sure.
I don't think it's an offering. Yeah, so if you ever get an offer, a lot of companies can obviously take unsolicited bids or offers for their companies. So if you can clarify that one, that'd be good. All right, what was the next one there? So there was a couple super chats. Oh, there it is. What? Okay, well, that's not the PE of Intel.
That's, of course,
I would say. So I don't think Intel has a PE of 4,000. But the price to earnings,
maybe 41.
Yeah,
but I don't think it would even be that. So
I mean, you can look it up and see.
I'm just checking now.
See what it is right there. Adara, what is the story with Marvell over the last couple of days? I know that we did get a story that they were going to be buying. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So we might as well. It is pretty nuts. Like the Ford's at 68 and the P I have at like 660. You have to remember, like when you go from not making money, right? Like when a company's in that curve from like you losing money or maybe in a couple of quarters and then turning it around, you can initially get some crazy Ps until it normalizes. So that's where Intel's at, but it isn't 41. I think it's in the hundreds. But the Ford P is like 67. In a couple of quarters, that's going to even itself out.
Yeah. What about Marvell?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny here because for MRVL, the acquisition news they had with that, what is the name of this company here? XCon for $540 million. That came out around this time yesterday. The market did not react at all. It was kind of in the middle of this downward move. But the market did react to their CES 2026 presentation, which there wasn't really anything super exciting that they said there. They said, hey, this quarter is probably going to be better than the last when it comes to bookings. So interesting look. We didn't react on the acquisition news. We did react on CES. That is really it when it comes to news here. And MRVL, kind of anticlimactic.
Thanks, Darren. Great question in the chat. I still really like Marvell. This will be a pick of mine whenever we get the 2026 picks going. Between 3 to 5 picks, I think, is what we're going with. And I really like Marvell just to do something a little different. I mean, I think the chip names will forever be winning. I think the GPUs continue to be the hot topic. And yeah, this is just the stock is very range bound. I mean, we got some top ticks there on earnings. They had a huge earnings report. That was really nice. They had a nice move from SoftBank as well, talking about kicking the tires on them. But it looks like this 95 has definitely been a top. So, you know, like I said, we've only spent 3 days closing above this $95 mark. So, due for a pullback, I would say, yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is a little bit of a bleed now in the broader market as far as chips. So look at SMH, and we've seen AMD. I've tried to short that one today, short the Nasdaq right now. So I do think that Marvell does have a runway to get back down into $80 for sure. Then you want to watch out for 75. I would be buying. I'm already in, but I like the $80 mark there for Marvell. Maybe something to look at on that one. But okay, yeah, look, it's been a great morning so far. I think we've had some good ideas, some good trade, and some great talk, and it's about to get even better now as we throw it back at the big desk with Adara.
Let's take a look here at these small caps, all of which we have news catalysts on today. This one, certainly a former runner, Innovative Eyewear, LUCY. I remember this one moving going back to 2024. They announced preliminary Q4 sales up $1 million, of roughly $1 million, which implies a 45% year-over-year increase. And they're guiding fiscal 2025 sales about $2.7 million. Then we have GPUS, which is literally pushing into new high of day as we speak. It is worth noting this one is a penny stock trading right now around 33.5 cents, reporting an estimated $369 million in total assets, $168 million in net assets, and $91 million in cash and Bitcoin. So again, just providing an asset and holdings update as of December 31st. 2025. Last but not least, AMOD, Alpha Modus. Much like the other two names here, this one has rallied in the past today. On watch here after announcing a partnership with DXC Technology. So again, we have a catalyst in all three of these small caps, AMOD, GPUS, and LUCY. Make sure to like and subscribe as we send you back over to Sean and Neil.
Thank you, Dara. I did trail out of IBIT on that last little bounce. It got really close to, there's a little support line I had, but trail it out when it got into the range. I'll look to see if we can get back in at VWAP as we speak, but I can tell you, and whoops, I typed Tesla when I meant to type in Intel. Intel was just broke 44. So now, I was a little bit early last time. Now it's at 52-week highs. They still own the boat in Mobileye, and that was where the news was. If you thought this was going to happen because of the Mobileye acquisition news, anyways, to say that this isn't making much sense to me when the story is a Mobileye gap and Mobileye has given up in the entirety of those, all of those gains, all of it from yesterday, the whole move. This is pulled back $2. Mobileye was up a boat and now it's only up 3%. And Intel is absolutely flying. So it doesn't have to make sense, but congratulations if you caught that train. It left the station and it honestly doesn't even look like it's coming back. And if I can't make heads or tails of it, then I'm going to stay away from that one. Go back to short the pop in IBIT because it's trending down. Try to get into the trend here on silver. Kind of that it's weird that ASTS worked short and IBIT worked short, and then the other short would have worked if I traded it better, and that's silver. So I'll just go back to one of those three because Intel doesn't make any sense, man. And it just went another 1% higher in the time that I was talking about it. So that's maybe not the one to try to short.
Yeah, I don't know what to do there.
Mobileye drops 20% and Intel keeps going?
We don't really know what's going on there. But SoFi, we know what's going on here. Yesterday they get a little bit of a downgrade. We talked about some of that sort of surfacing there yesterday, and it did not have a great run of it there. I tried to even short it at the bottom and got stopped out. So we just put a tweet out right now. And it was, again, if you're going to go on here, and I'm just going to go with what the number one stock is for me today, P&L wise, it's SoFi right there. We have IBIT short. Neil's been doing that, but it's not in my area yet. We had the Google long before the long happened. So I don't know. That was interesting. And then the TQQ short, we're still short the TQQs right now as well. But yeah, SoFi today catching some revenge off of that trade and back into the 40s. I'm bidding 40. Okay, got 46s. Still bidding that 40 level. No, actually, I canceled the 40 level to see if we can get a little bit lower on that right now. So we only have 10% left of SoFi. So I just don't need to be in that anymore. It's been a good move. We'll take the money and we'll do that. Nasdaq, again, you guys know where we're bidding on this one, 55.10. This is the largest Intel move since September the 18th, so the day after one of those Fed cuts. But they started cutting in September 17th, so they're potentially a pullback. But I was waiting for some volume. There's been red candles here before. But it just spiked up higher. So it made a move down, spiked up higher and took that out again. So 44.50 right now, the high for Intel. I am debating putting on a short right now of Intel, using 44.50 as our stop, but it's gone right now. And we know the US government's involved in this, NVIDIA's involved in this. So I don't know, man. Who's buying it up here? I don't know. But that's not for me to answer. It's watching the price action here. So yeah, Intel right now. I might baby short this, but that seems a little nuts for me. So, I mean, look at that. Just as Neil had mentioned there before, even as we're talking about it here, it's taking out ask. So, yeah, Intel, man, nice move. SPY at the lows and Qs near the highs. Yeah, that is
You're
weird.
waiting for Intel to look distinctly different if you're trying to short it. Like, you just do something that it hasn't been doing. Because like, you watch it, like, you watch the tape, and it's the kind of absurd price action that it's difficult to chase up here, but until that weird program buying stops, like, what are you going to do? Back into
I tried to
SLV,
go short, but that's not going to work.
If, you know, see if it can hold at 70. If it gets to VWAP, it's worth taking another shot in here, but it just did a bit of a topping tail at 70. And then IBIT, IBIT's not going to get to VWAP at that rate. Right back to our exit point. So I'm just going to cancel.
I buy Intel.
VWAP is going to be a moving target as it trails down. So I was sitting at 52. It's not going to get there. Next available pop, I'll look to get back in on trend on SLV. But we are, on IBIT, but we are short in SLV. Yeah, Intel, it just happens to be crazy. It is what it is. But it's not the only one going. And NVIDIA's up 2%, and it's trending higher, but hasn't even broken yesterday's highs at this particular point. Nasdaq's about to go. I don't know if we're going to see any capitulation on Intel at this rate.
I tried to short it there. I'm back into the short quickly,
wait till there's a story that comes out this afternoon.
I'm not trying to trade this
Somebody knows something.
Somebody knows something. I think that's easy to say for sure on that one. Somebody knows something. Yeah, I would say that's
something's
probably accurate.
That we don't know yet.
Right there. So, okay, I mean, I'm short, so go. Nice move to the downside. We'll take a couple profit points here on Intel. Now we're back. See, this is like part of what Obi talks about sometimes. You take as many shots, and then maybe it's that last one that works. So here goes Intel cooking for me now, and we'll bid some more 35s and get a little bit out, and then we'll wait to see if the pullback is real. And we haven't even tested really this 21 period moving average. That's generally what we'll use for that. But there it is, man. Stopped out there, and I'm up on Intel. I use the same amount of shares both times, but the stop is just at that local high of 61s right now. So if we break through 61, then we're out of that one. The TQs does come back up. I was debating re-shorting into that, and I think we'll do a little bit of that at 44 is where I was waiting just against that high. If we break through 50s, we're gone. But I mean, all my interest was right here with Intel, and good thing we covered some of that down there because it's just coming right back. Intel's wild, man.
They're swiping it down.
Yeah, I'm going to bid. So I'm bidding right now just to cover, to get out on some of these swipes because, yeah, that's what it's doing, man. It's dancing right here. So we're flat, position pending here on Intel. Let's just see where it goes here. Hopefully we do get a little bit of a pushback. I'm now bidding. I'm going to wait to see if we do get a dip. I'm going to bid 44 even and see if that works. But for me, it's 6 cents worth of risk. We're already in the money 12, but that's not important. You know, we're waiting for a bigger move here now on Intel, or we'll get stopped out at that high, which it looks like is more likely rather than the tank.
Just a correction, Roger, it's not all-time highs on Intel. I know the problem is that you have to go really far back on the chart to be able to see it, but because look, it's at a double top on the daily, but pull up a weekly and even you can see $50. And then if I pull up a monthly, you can see even higher than that. It's like, no, I don't even have to. Just zoom out a little bit further. Like it's been well over $50 previously. So, and look, it doesn't really change much. It is at a 52-week high, and it just breached it here today. So I'm back into the lower high on silver. But the other thing that's going on right now is look at the Qs, triple top on the Qs. Mm-hmm. So that's at a triple top, and that has me. I should be back in IBIT. IBIT's been better. it's just been better. Like SLV is not at VWAP, but I want to take a couple of shots. Like A, when it got back to the 70 level, and B, if it gets back into this prior high. So first shot here, second shot up there. But IBIT is much weaker. Much, much weaker as the market gets back into the highs. This is still in the same range when I got out of it. It hasn't really even bounced. It's just sitting on the low. So if it's not going to get to VWAP, I want to take another shot, like at the weakest thing that I'm watching right now, which is crypto. So maybe I'll short into this 51.8 level. If we pull back here, I don't want to miss my chance to get back in on said trend. Tesla's trying to bust VWAP. That could be a little bit interesting. It's failed every other time, but now it's trying to work through that 435. I told myself on Tesla, I need to see it holding on the 15 above 435. So that hasn't even come close to happening yet. All it's done is reject that level on the 15-minute. So there's a decent chance that Tesla can turn into a really good long, just not really yet for me. I wanted to see this, and you can see why I like that level, but just not doing much with it currently.
All right, we actually took some fills there at 35 sorry, that's the TQ, sorry, on Intel right here. So I'm bidding 44.20, and then that's it. So let's go get down Intel right now. Here comes maybe a push back down to the downside. So, you know, trading is about taking a little bit of risk. We took it here with Intel and lost there we go, we get it now. Lost first time, but not losing now, as there goes Intel, man. Yes, sir, finally, the stock that we like to see on movement here, Intel. Let's bring this thing back down just a little bit lower. We'll put another bid at 13s or so. That was just that recent low right there, and then we'll see about a break. And I do have a bigger bid, obviously, at 43.60s. Down here, just in front of 50. Don't know, there we go. There we get our 13s right now, as there goes Intel, man, cracking lower. So big trade alert, big trade alert. Glad that you guys were here to see that at least. Intel's been the #1 name on people's minds, and there it goes to the downside. Your boy got it. And yeah, big time trade there for me now on Intel. So yeah, man, there, bid out O's. Now we'll see if we do get a little bit more of a drop in there. Right now, 43.60 for some reason is where I'm bidding, so we'll just put that. We'll go to 43.65. Okay, we'll put a bid there and see if we can crack downside on that. We're out now of 60% of this trade already, as it's been a really strong name, so we don't need to hold on for this complete move back in, but I like this trade so far. They're 40 cents on a $40 name, so we'll take 1% out of Intel right now, and we did average in, so we'll see if the bearish move is going to happen or not here with the Nasdaq. But AMD, all these other names are starting to climb a little bit higher right now, including, you know, we looked at Google and how they're moving today. That's still back up to 320. It's NVIDIA, it's AMD, starting to get going just a bit. So NVIDIA being at the highs would make sense of why the Nasdaq is where it is. But wow, we just cracked below $44, man. We've got Intel, and it's definitely creating some magical moments here. So let's wait to see where it goes, and maybe we can get a 40, 55, 35 or something here on the Nasdaq. But we are moments away from breaking out of the Nasdaq trade, and if that takes out 55, 51, then we're gone. So it almost already happened there. So watch out now. Intel downside, but we will wind up losing here, it looks like, on this Q's position. But Intel's really making that all not matter. But still, losing trade's a losing trade. All right, let's go back over to you. You were in IBIT, I think, or I don't know.
I'm looking to get back into it, but not yet. I mean, the market's really pressing higher. So if you're, if I'm looking to short, then I don't want to compromise on price when the market's breaking higher. But here comes Tesla's going to close over that VWAP in the 435 level. So it's starting to look a little bit better here on Tesla. This is the key price we wanted it over. It wasn't very clear before, but now you had consolidation, and then you've got breakout. So if we hold VWAP, there's plenty of room to this 438. I like the risk reward if I can just sneak in here in front of 435, right to get out of silver as that's continuing to rally. It's just a weird one, man. Like, Intel was going up when the market was not as strong, and then the reversal comes when, I guess, it passes the baton, like a relay race there. I still think some news is going to come out on that one, because the Mobileye thing doesn't make sense to me.
All right, we're $1 now in on Intel, and it's a big trade, man. So yeah, like, We covered some more there at 75. I'm still at 65. This is the problem when I look at these things. It's like the market goes down and I start to like violate some of the rules. But we do have some outs there. One at 80, one at 75, and it's just just zooming in and looking at this a little bit more. This is why I'm bidding 65s. This is why initially I was bidding 60s. I put it to 65. Maybe we do get a little bit more of a play to the downside right now. But that's Intel. We shorted that. That was pretty good, and that's basically my whole day. SoFi is another trade. So these are the only two ones that we've won on today. We're going to go 2 wins, 3 losses. But the Intel win is 60% more than my biggest loss, which is actually, this is my biggest loss right here because we trusted this short. We were able to cover some of it, but it's because of this. So this was early. So we were down early on the TQs, then remember, if we had covered here, then we had made it all back. So we had done that, we had made it all back, and then we were waiting for more of a move, and then we averaged in again, and then got stopped out right there. So really, 0 for 1, 1 for 2, 1 for 3 on the way up. So that's going to be our negative stock of the day right there. SMCI, we tried. Come on. SMCI, we tried it right there, and that's obviously worked out great. We should have used, I guess, the 200 period, but instead we used VWAP and just got stopped out there at 32 when the high was 40. Now you're down way lower than that now. So here we go, man. It's Netflix talk today, right? Down 0.24, and we thought that maybe Warner Brothers had now accepted their deal, and there's some legal things now happening. We saw some points there where the Paramount bid had sort of caught some lawyers and everything like that. So we're going to find out what exactly is going on. Yeah, that alarm, I don't know what that's for, Joe, but if it's for Intel or SoFi, we like it. And there goes Intel to the downside. Maybe you're an IBIT guy over there, Joe. Are you mic'd up? All right, so what did you hit that for? What do you got going on over there?
Joe? Oh.
Uber.
Nice.
Just going away from the pack here, I guess, Sean. Typically trading tech names, but a nice little move here on Uber. Risking only 20 cents here, guys, at the low of 85.80s. Wait to that 1-to-1, and then we got a nice little pop-up attempt. 1 for 2 on this, but just sticking to the guns here on this name. Strong opening drive, and then it's starting to work out a little bit for us here at a 1.5-to-1 currently. A little bit more.
Nice, we like that. Uber,
good solid tech.
Yeah, Uber, of course, is a very good tech name there. So, Joe, we are looking at now a complete collapse. Let's go, man. Let's props it up, Neil. We caught out that good trade there on Intel. Now $1 and change in the money as this is starting to go big time right now. So glad we were able to catch the top there of Intel. Here we go, man. The problem is we got stuffed out of our futures position, which is now cooking. I don't know if there was a news story there, Dara.
On the market just now.
Yeah, huge reversal right there, and it's a good move there for Intel. Let's go do that downside right now. Hopefully that IBIT starts printing out for you.
Oh, right back to the low of the day. You gotta wait for the entry. So I just waited for. I said 51.8. I want to see it fail 51.8. It does a topping tail candle at 51.8. I get in. That's what being patient and waiting is all about. But let's go to Adara because that was a big reversal on the future just now. Cheers.
So hello. I'm unclear as to if this is why, but okay, no, never mind. Here's the story. So NVDA China reportedly asking tech companies to halt their NVIDIA H200 chip orders. That's as for the information. Now, again, I want to mention the source here, the information. The information is the type where sometimes they will report things that we already kind of knew or that are older or that are more speculative rather than news. But either way, they are coming out here saying that China is telling their tech companies to halt their H200 chip orders. So interesting look there. I also wanted to mention the other story I saw here that's kind of interest is I guess with regards to apparently there's some seizure of oil tankers linked to Russia and Iran coming from the UK. So some oil news, but I think generally here this definitely has to do with the Chinese government asking tech firms to halt these NVIDIA H200 chip orders. Apparently officials might also mandate that domestic AI chip purchases with these NVIDIA orders. So interesting look. If I get more details, I'll keep you posted. Here is a look though at the sector board, which is actually still relatively green, though some of this weakness is kind of coming in. Finance really red here though. JP Morgan down 2.5%, Blackstone down 3.5%, producer manufacturing really weak, health services being led to the downside by a 2% decline in UNH, utilities to the downside, a CEG down about 3%. We know they are kind of that AI 3 Mile Island linked utility. So this is a nice data center play as well. Right now, again, red. Non-energy minerals are red. But let's talk here about electronic tech, which is starting to get a little bit redder as we speak. Now, Intel, with its 10% move to the upside, seems pretty secure. But Qualcomm, AMD, Texas Instruments, all to the downside. Honeywell also down about 2%. But Broadcom and NVIDIA still holding relatively strong. NVIDIA weirdly not reacting to this news, which is kind of interesting. But tech services here has some strength here in Google and Microsoft. So again, if I get more details in the news, I will let you know. But once again, the information saying that NVIDIA, these chip orders are apparently being suspended, or they're asking companies not to order chips here right now from NVIDIA for China. Back to you.
All right.
We've seen the information stories get reversed before. That said, I mean, look, this was AMD. He broke the trend. So if I'm going to play one of these, I'll go with the one that has a bit of a setup. I just heard in my ear that GameStop broke the high of the day. So I guess the Elon Musk strategy-ish incentivizing Ryan Cohen is causing a bit of a squeeze over there in GameStop. But now with that headline, if we're not pressing highs again, then I think AMD already weak and is going to be related to the story. Want to try and get the 210 level where it broke the trend. It broke the trend on the headline, so if it can pop back up there, I think that's going to be worth a bit of a fade. Again, it's the information we've seen sometimes when they're the only ones reporting something, it can get walked back, so I'd rather try to short the weaker name instead of picking on NVIDIA. And NVIDIA has been pretty strong, everybody. So, hey, hit that like, hit that subscribe, everybody out there. As the market's going wild, we're keeping you abreast of the moves and all the news, wherever it happens to be. Shout out to Adair, who's been fantastic during CES, because the news has been all over the place. 22% of you are not subscribed. That means you can't participate in our fantastic chat if you're not a subscriber, everybody. It's a subs-only chat. And it's a great community, so make sure you jump in there and join. And then you can type in some symbols, like I see CrowdStrike and SoFi just got put in there. Haven't looked at Crowd in a while. Good look.
And it's funny that, you know, the biggest trade of the day here for the morning show here is a stock on Intel, where we couldn't really find too much specific news, but we had to cover, man. I mean, when that we talked about 60 as being our level, and I did take out a 25% of what we have left right there once we broke the 21 period. Moving average, I still am bidding, I'm bidding 90s. Oh no, everything canceled. Actually gonna get back into that. We're bidding 90s right now on this, 91s. We'll see if we get a little bit lower, but I did, okay, there it is, we get the 91s. I did want to take something out in case the retracement was real to the back end of that trade, and we're back in this name. Again, hit the sirens up here for the TQs as we get right back into this name. We were short to begin with over here, and again, we talked about it being the biggest losing trade for me today, but we'll get back into that short as, you know, the China talk can't be good. So we will now short the market, hold on to this, see if we can get a much bigger move to the downside, bidding 12s, bidding 02s, and then we'll see if we can break lower. The lowest we got to was 02, so that's why we're bidding there. We'll see if we can get to that level, and this is why we're bidding 12s right there around VWAP. So what's up, Adair?
For what it's worth here, people not taking this information story too seriously, at least on social media. One of the sources I use that is a pretty heavily followed Shrug news source, literally calling it a rumor from the information. So again here, this story that the Chinese government reportedly asking some tech companies to temporarily halt their plans to buy the NVIDIA H200 chips, because it comes from the information, which, as Neil mentioned, sometimes their stories are either rumor, speculation, or recaps of things that were already known. Some sources not buying this story on its face. Again, if I get more details, you know I'll keep you posted, but I just want to keep you guys posted on what the sentiment is right now for this story in the market. Back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Like you said, sometimes they get walked back. Yeah. And we've seen that happen time and time again. So that being said, you trade what's in front of you. I mean, ultimately, so the market's reacting to the move. So until, if and when that changes, fair enough. But trying to be more patient. Let's see if this one's going to work. The third time through on silver. The other shorts, like I said, IBIT has been okay. But this is actually breaking trends. I'm waiting for it to make the lower high, then break the trend down, and then see if we get back in the low. So this is more do what it's trying to do all day long on SLV. And by the way, like I look at gold. Gold is actually stronger than silver, but there is a distinct seller right up here above 409 to 409.5 on gold. I'm fighting a sneeze. 409 to 409.5. 3 times it's tested its pre-market highs as well. I feel like if that gets broken out, then even like silver probably a breakout trade too. But it's very distinct, that top. So as long as it holds, I feel like the short is going to be in. And then IBIT was a re-entry off that 51.8. It got back into the low of the day, but it hasn't gone any further. So there is now a double bottom here in front of that 51.5 area, which was the target on the original short. So I'll probably jump out of it and wait for the next opportunity in IBIT, because that target bottom has now been holding for quite some time on IBIT. Tesla's still, not looking that great either, but the new position is going to be that silver. We got into AMD on that information story. We'll see what happens. If the market breaks the highs, my guess is they're going to call it fugazi.
Yeah, and it looks like that is kind of what's happening right now. Great reporting there by Adara as well. We're just going to try to hold on now. We only have 10% left of Intel now, period. So we just gotten a bunch out near this $44 mark. Let's see if it continues to work out. And yeah, averaged into the TQs here. Again, I'm just going to give it to this top. We'll take another fill around the 50 marker. But, yesterday, we lost on SoFi, and then we added to the damage because we were like, God, it has to be a long, it has to be a short, this and that. We're not going to, be stuck to any particular trade again. This was decent. We were able to get a little piece out there, but it still is flying a little bit higher right now. So we'll just watch out for that trade. The thing is that Alibaba, if they're halting H20 chips into China there, then maybe Alibaba can be one of the beneficiaries of this, and as they'll start to produce some chips themselves. We have Taiwan Semiconductor. There's a whole bunch of different names that could benefit from this. Instead of just looking at the negative side of it for NVIDIA, maybe there are some companies that can benefit, and it doesn't even look like NVIDIA cares that much about that story, to be completely honest with you. I mean, NVIDIA, they didn't even have China in their numbers last go around, so I think that that's probably okay. And remember, as Adara has mentioned to us there, it's just the information reporting this. So hopefully they, I don't know if they have it right or wrong, but whatever they do, that's been questioned before on some of those issues with them reporting different stories about NVIDIA. There's been similar situations with Apple, Minjin Kuo, and things like that, potentially not misreporting, but maybe the story is not as dramatic as sometimes we feel that it is.
I think it's more of a case of just being willing to report something that is speculation and rumor without any hard evidence. I think that's what it comes down to. We live in a world where that's going to be part of the case. And like sometimes it'll be like yesterday with Tesla, that was legitimate news because it was out of Jensen's mouth, and it goes to the upside, and you react to it, and it works. Or they hear, like, I took the short break on AMD on that story, and if it's fugazi, we're going right back to the highs. However, I'm not going to wait for it to get to the highs to get out. Like I said, if the market got back to the highs, they're calling fugazi on it, so I'm just going to get out before we get there. Like I said, like it is what it is. So the information, thank you again for being so incredibly accurate with your story. No, I'm kidding.
Well, we don't know if it's accurate or not.
No, I'm saying I don't know. We don't know. It would seem to me like if we're going to go right back to where we were on AMD, and like, I just went over to AMD because NVIDIA felt if I was going to play it, I'd rather try to play it in something which was a little bit weaker. Like, look how strong NVIDIA is. What do I have a line at 188.50 on NVIDIA, which cuts right through multiple days? That's where it bounced on this. I don't even understand. Why do I? Oh, that's why. I have this resistance level, which hasn't been, it's still pretty valid. 188.5 looks like a little bit of a level for NVIDIA. That's exactly where it bounced, but it's much stronger than AMD. And they clearly don't give a darn about this number at all. So as I said, I went back over to the things that were downtrending, and that one of them was silver. I got the reload, was able to get some out there. But even IBIT's starting to go. Yeah, even IBIT. So IBIT's been a good short, but it just broke back above that 51.8 level. So now I'll wait for the top end of the range. Right now, this stock is in a ETF, I should say. It's in a 1.5% range. So it's still very much an inside type day for it, which does mean if we've made the bottom, wait for it to test that top again and then move on to the next. Let's go to Adara. It's already time for Money Talks.
Indeed it is, and let's talk here about this US dollar. Nothing really to talk about here on its performance on the daily chart, so let's zoom out and talk about this economic data that we had out today and that we're going to have coming out later in the week. Brendan and I have been talking about this the last couple of days, but the theme of this week for economic data is certainly going to be the jobs Base ADP employment change coming out 41,000 here at 8:15 a.m. today, a little bit lower than the forecast of 50,000, but certainly better than the previous print of negative 32K. Then we had JOLTS job openings coming out at 10 a.m. Initially, a little bit of a negative reaction in the market to this print, 7.146 million JOLTS job openings versus the forecast of 7.647 million. So missing by a significant amount there. U.S. factory orders a bit lower than expected as well, but ISM services PMI better than what we were looking for. Now, again, the biggest jobs-related data of the week is going to come out on Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. We're going to get unemployment rate here, non-farm payrolls, average earnings, private payrolls, participation rate. So all of that data coming through on Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. Definitely don't miss it. It'll be Brennan and myself over on this desk. Really quickly, before I let you guys go here, I do want to mention what we have here at the CME FedWatch tool for this January 28th meeting. Just over 10% of participants now expecting a 25 basis point cut. That's 11.6% of participants. 88.4% expecting that rates will be held steady. So as we get closer to the meeting, we seem to see these odds of a 25 basis point cut in January getting smaller and smaller. Let's see how this continues to shake out with about 20 days left until that decision. Back to you.
Yeah, you know I've got that short there, Obi. Obi shows up and gives immediate props to Intel short. Thank you so much. You know we traded with size over on this side, my guy. So thank you, Obi. I hope you had it as well right there. But with Obi in the building, you know that it's getting closer and closer to lunchtime. So let's go figure out what exactly is for lunch. Thank you, Adara, for that update. There we go. I mean, is my mic better now? All right. Today we've got the Moroccan flag. So, you know, good little possibility here for chicken. So it is a chicken dinner winner today. And all it says is Moroccan chicken. So I guess maybe I have to look that up, see what's going on. What's up, Adara?
Will it be spicy? Like, I would
say yes.
I would like to know, as someone who may have to modify my lunch, like, you know.
I would say it could be spicy. I mean, I have to look up what Moroccan spices are like, Adara, but I think roasted root vegetables with Moroccan spice blend.
I mean, I Googled it.
Couscous.
the first recipe that comes up, this Moroccan chicken recipe is thick with spices.
Yeah, but the spices, I mean, might not be spicy.
It doesn't mean that it's going to be hot, Adara. It just means that it's going to be probably really flavorful, which I'll be happy to see.
Yeah, so we'll see it there. But there it is. So that is what's for lunch. Moroccan chicken. We'll definitely, thanks, Fabian. We will definitely have a report on that during the midday, and I'm sure Adara will be updating the spice level as well on that one. But the Moroccan chicken there should be good. And yeah, man, we are still 80 cents in the money on this Intel. And OBU basically nailed the exact amount of shares there that we had. So that was about right. Still up 10% though, 9% there on the day. Its largest move since, you should be Max being that, correct? It's its largest move since September the 18th. There for Intel. And giving back a little bit, we'll see where it goes from here, but there it goes, nice downside play. We said that we're going to try to hold the rest of this, and let's see if we can do that as Intel right now at its lowest point since the pullback right here, 43.60s. Now, as soon as I say I'm going to hold on to it, I'm going to put bid. Let's get something out right there at 61, just because this is where it's been before. All right, here we go. Let's see if Intel, we just took a 61 fill. Lighter and lighter on this trade, obviously, as we go. But yeah, good trade there. Brought our day back a little bit. So
yeah, that's what it's about, man. And as the market continues to bleed to the upside, ignoring that information story, I suppose. So I'm going to stick to, look, if it's under VWAP, if it's trending down, then that's where I want to have the short end. So silver, that's the one that didn't work. We're back in, and it's another lower high. So you're going to try it again. Like the first two times, I mistimed it. The third time, I wait for it to make the lower high and then jump in. And I'll do the same thing over here with IBIT. As you know, we just came into VWAP. I had that short off the low, and then we got it into the bottom, and then it kind of broke the top again. But now it's holding VWAP, so I'm going to jump back in if we can under the volume-weighted average price. Again, trending down as the market's trending up. And try to keep it as simple as possible. Oh my goodness, Gorilla 1981. That's the first time I've seen someone mention SMR. Back to 20
already.
So somebody yesterday. Remember, like SMR had this program buy in the afternoon yesterday. It looks like at about the same price. So it was right here at about 1860 that program buy started. Look where it caught the bid today in the morning. Same price, similar result. SMR is getting really strong here. Not at the 50 period yet. for a potential breakout, but it's getting pretty darn close, I'll tell you that much. Not there yet, but it's getting pretty darn close. I think that stock can be explosive. Just remember what you get when you buy Oklo or SMR. There's a couple of other ones. They don't make money. They don't sell anything yet. So you're buying a lot of speculation, but the momentum seems to be there.
Yeah, I mean, we, definitely like those stocks. I mean, it's we talked about playing the momentum plays, and I'm interested to hear what Obi has to say because I know SNDK has been on this guy's mind for a minute. So there was a nice pullback in that one, down about $20 off the open. Micron has had quite the run this year. Western Digital, we know all about that, and they're all near highs right now of the day. So yeah, 52-week all-time highs right here for Micron right now. These prices, 344, right? On the chart that I have here for E-Signal, they have 344.50 as the high for Micron of all time. So I think that was yesterday, pretty much. High 344.50. What was this though? That's in the after hours, 345. So yeah, so we've actually been up here before, and it was just because yesterday after close we went up. There's 344, so this is why that's giving that as the high. But after close yesterday, and this is before today, 340. So it looks like 346.30s or so is the area of concern there for Micron. If you're looking to go short anything, you have another $2 before $3 at this point before you get back to those all-time highs. A name that we used to talk about all the time, CoreWeave, we don't really look at that anymore. That should be an exciting trade. That's now up 1% here, and that's been, I think this is probably why. I mean, it's been pretty stuck right now. I mean, $90 top, $60 bottom. That's not stuck at all. But it's in this range right now, looking to break through the 50 period or looking to get back downside right now. But yeah, CoreWeave. And the reason why I thought that because I saw ARM just hit up a little bit here as well. I don't know what signaled for ARM, but not doing much today, up 0.58. The Nasdaq is looking like, I'm still short here, just short against the highs. And as I said in the chat, man, the short is probably not the way today. And, big time moves in Google, big time move in Intel there, potentially a story from the information to try to get this market down that doesn't seem to be affecting anybody
Amazon
right now. Oh, you did it? Amazon's up 1.3%.
Again, stock is beast mode. It's only up 1% today, but it's beast mode off the 50 period. This is the thing, it's like the baton passing in this market just continues, right? If you're out of favor and you start catching a bid, that's the time you want to get to. When it's boring is when you want to be in the dip buy because it goes from Google to Amazon, and you saw Apple start to pull back, Apple, which had been so incredibly strong, now that's starting to dip. So this is going to be next at some point, right? So once we start getting pissy and complaining about Apple, it's probably going to be a good time to start looking for the bid on this stock because you just go from one to the other. That's what you like to see in a bull market, although you'd rather it not always be passing the baton from one Mag 7 name to another. Let's be real. All right, so just not an IBIT yet. But CompuCare team, what is the news? The Nasdaq breaking the new highs? Oh, there's no news for the Nasdaq positively breaking the highs. What ended up happening was you had this headline from the information, kind of almost forgetting it there, from the information suggesting that China's not going to allow NVIDIA to import their chips, and it was a single source. And we had a big pullback in the market. Tank's not the right word. You saw NVIDIA pull back heavily. You saw Intel, most of those chip names that were affected by it pull back in. And then instantly, we came right back to the top, as if that story didn't mean anything. The Nasdaq was trending up going into it. It just felt like a reversal at the time. Let's be real. And let's be honest, if a couple of other sources confirm that, we're probably breaking down at this point. It just didn't happen.
No, and I believed in it, and I went short as well. So now we're caught here short and looking to get taken out here at the day's high as the Nasdaq continued. There it goes. Just broke the high there as well. So yeah, a little bit of a stop out again on the TQs as just goes right up there, and now just there it goes. Look at this extension right now continuing. So yeah, man, I was saying the short may not be the way, and that'll be the biggest loser there for me. We'll still hold on to Intel. That's still $1. I think this could break a little lower. let's bid some 43s in and around where VWAP is. And yeah, we're back at 2 p.m. But for right now, thanks to everybody today. Fabian over there, Andre, Brendan, yeah, Raheem, big one. Raheem Alani, thanks for coming through today. That was always a lot of fun with him. I saw his wife and his kid in the back. That was awesome. Thanks to Dara, Obi, and Joe. Thanks, Joe, for answering some of those questions that we had before. Okay, man, enjoy the Moroccan chicken. I'm sure we will all enjoy that.
Picture looks fantastic.
Okay. Hopefully it's not Leatherface chicken again. And if it is, then I'll still probably have it anyways because I'll be hungry as
You got to
hell.
get your protein.
Right
It's
there.
free
Yeah, we'll
too,
get
well,
it's
not free.
definitely not free. But all right. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We will see you at 2 p.m. It's a midday show with Joe and Obi. Ciao.
Get them, boys.